welcome back to the Unorthodox podcast. Obviously, Carl's not going to be here for this part today.
No, working hard, hardly working.
Right, I don't think that guy ever worked. Outside trying to nutmeg people and that.
Yeah,
Jesus.
basically, pretty much. I was a victim, I'll be honest, so it's what it
You
is.
got everyone but one person.
Yeah,
Just
but
so.
you.
No, he got me.
Oh, he got you?
Yeah,
Did you not get it?
Dan.
Oh, yeah.
But Kiers last week, how was it? Look, you're Kiers' guy, so let's move straight in.
Yeah, man. Keys is my guy, man. I got so much time for him, but his story is nuts. And the abuse that he's had to have and the journey, the decision making, the story's just crazy, basically. So I think that's definitely up there with one of the best pods that I think I've done.
Yeah, it was great. Like when we obviously put the first reaction out, and he said like someone called, his mum that name. It's madness. And obviously the trailers that have followed were like Liam outed him a little bit. Albert, congratulations to Liam on the birth of his child.
Yeah, definitely. Congratulations.
We've never had on the pod, probably won't, but we still congratulate him.
Yeah.
And yes, it's been a mad ride this week. Like that podcast, obviously, not from a podcast or on YouTube, people have reacted really well, and I think that's going forward. Hopefully it opens eyes, and if you haven't watched it, go and watch it now because
100%.
it's a mad eye.
And that's nothing in comparison to Ali's one. So.
Oh, listen, today, me and Cole probably have to be blocked out or something. There's some mad.
Ali's one I think that's a big eye opener for men getting used to women being in the game and how to act basically when they've got women around them when they're not used to seeing it. I think it's important for you to watch that one, definitely, 100%.
I think this is obviously last week was an eye opener to racism. This week is sexism, and it's something that's close to your heart. Because obviously, even before Ali came on, you had a few issues with. We won't mention the people, and I don't think it's right to mention them. But it's important to shed the light because now, if that person is watching, or anyone that knows you and knows who they are, they can look at them and go, look, and then they might think themselves again. Yeah. And it's not what we want.
No, but I think it's a big unspoken subject that I think females in the industry are not talking about.
Yeah.
So I think it was brave what Ali came out and spoke about.
And hopefully anyone else who does come on and feels brave to speak about it, like, we want to be that platform that gives you the voice.
Yeah.
We're not just here, we're here to do a little bit of men's game, a little bit of women's game, if you've got a great stuff, but also as well, we're here to give you a voice. If you feel like you're being treated wrongly,
you want to talk about
there's
it.
three people here to talk about.
Yeah. 100%.
Obviously, like we said, this is a big podcast coming up. Obviously, she's a physio, and unfortunately for her, she's now left Cray Wonders. But obviously, at the time, she was with them, and she's with the DONS. And it's even you said afterwards, like you had a big respect for.
Massive respect. I learned so much from her. So much. I didn't realise that physios pay for their title. There was so much that I didn't know. Even grabs that physio have. It was just a big. Massive.
It's a big thing. So obviously we're gonna get into this one now. We're gonna let you watch it and hopefully you enjoy it. What I do need to say is as well, obviously, going forward, hit like and comment on what we're now doing on YouTube. Drop us a follow, drop us a subscribe. We now need to get those followers up and get going because we're here we're putting out content for season 1, and the reason we're gonna come back for season 2 is because of you guys. Everyone that brings us back. We've got some banging guests lined up. We obviously filmed a good one today, but yeah, here's Ali. And thank you for watching. Have
a watch, have a listen. That's it.
I wish it were unorthodox. We call our own shots.
Welcome to the Unorthodox podcast with myself, Carl Davey, Sean, and Brownie.
What up?
So today we have Ali, a physio, which is different to obviously what we normally have, players, coaches, managers, so forth. But it's good to get a perspective of what a female physio has to go through. Where are we going to start? So let's start at the beginning. Is physio something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, so basically I wanted to be a physio since about 15, 14 years old. One of those weird kids who just had a really driven way of knowing what he wanted to do. So I wanted to be an archaeologist initially because I thought like Indiana Jones, like run through, go like temples and that, and a whip.
Right.
I know, got there already. But maybe like a minute, it got whips involved. It's terrible, but basically,
I can already tell you that this one's going to be a lot.
So basically, I decided that watched Time Team. Went, hang on a minute, a lot of old men around here with beards. I'm not going to be archaeologists. I thought, I want to be in football. I've watched Dream Team. I want to be that person.
Cannot play
football. Like 2 left feet, even my left foot's all.
Oh no, doing alright outside.
To be fair, he almost hit the crossbar. I was a bit worried.
Wait, see how shocked his face was,
I
yeah?
know. Imagine the physio beats you from a coach. It's awful. And that's the worst thing, really, isn't it?
No, not really.
Even that would have
I've
kicked
had
man,
worse.
isn't it?
Do you know what's worse?
I like the
Do you know what's worse when the cameraman beats you?
Oh,
Yeah, it's worse.
Just the cameraman.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, go on.
So, played a little bit of football, and then my grandfather was from St Lucia. He went home, and he unfortunately had a stroke. And I thought, awful. You know, what's going to happen when he comes back? What will he be like? And he got off the plane walking. I was like, Mike, what's going on? Like, what's happening? He said, I had physio, and I was like, that's interesting. What's physio? Discussed around it, and then I'm going to look into it, see what it is. It's interesting. And then a lot of research, a lot of looking at sort of careers advice, and then saw football physios, NHS physios. This could be it. Like, went this work experience in a hospital, fell in love with it, and then went, right, that's it. I'm going to be a physio. And that was it, really. I mean, I went to an all-girls school, so they were more keen for me to be a beautician or a nail salon or working my hair out. And I said to them, no, I want to be a physio. And from that point, I was like, that's it. I'm going to be studying extra hard to get into
driven. That's really driven.
Caribbean parent, innit? So you have to be, or, you know what I mean? Cut that bit for me if you can. I'll get
I'm sending that to your parents.
Oh, she's used to it.
So you knew that from what you said, 15?
Yeah.
You wanted to be a physio?
Yeah, and I thought that was it, the driven then. All my school-wise, did everything in science, but everything was geared towards physio. Went to university, and then that was it, really.
And also now you're a podcaster like us.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Everyone wants to listen to my horrible voice all day.
Well, I mean, sometimes story needs to get told. So, what was your first? So you said you was working at a hospital. That was your work experience.
Yes, I did that for about a week. I mean, Queen Mary, when it was a more functional hospital than it is currently.
Yeah. So when did you get your first paid role?
So my first paid role was probably when I was 21 at uni, straight into a hospital to work. I did a bit of work in a football club around that time when I was 20 odd. And I've been football from 20 really from that point. My first paid role was probably football wise at Fisher, I think.
Fisher.
Oh, is that Fisher?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been around a bit.
It's not bad.
I've done it again. I work in men's football. I'm used to it. I'll do it for you.
I was like, oh jeez, what do I do?
I'm so zooming on Carl's face when he's.
Don't panic. I'm used to it.
With doing the physio and obviously doing it in uni, they gear you up to go straight to a hospital, don't you? Like,
They
you do your
do.
work experience in a hospital and then you try and keep that, do you?
I was very lucky. So I was one of the first years to have the fees come in.
Yeah.
They were quite small at the time. But I also got the bursary, so they didn't just pay for most of my fees.
Okay.
So I had a small bit for books and stuff, which I paid off within a few years anyway, frankly. But they paid my university fees, so you're expected to go and work in just after that because you owe them a little bit. Yeah. But I'll be honest, my game plan was to go into uni, do a couple of years NHS, get my rotations out of the way, get some experience, and then leave. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I just fell in love with the weirdest thing, elderly rehab.
Really?
Yeah, and it's what I do now, what I specialise in now, and I absolutely love it.
Granddad, because obviously you said it
It's
come
a
back
bit
and
of
you was
that.
like, oh.
Yeah, it's more like, do you know what? I just think they deserve good, solid, quality rehab.
Yeah.
And when you hear their story, my grandparents all sadly died before I was finished uni, so unfortunately, it's just the way it works out in life, isn't it? And I think that I just treasure speaking to elderly people and helping them and hearing their wonderful stories, and they're a good laugh, to be fair. I mean, there's a lot of vomiting and viruses around at the minute that's not very nice. But yeah, I think generally I just absolutely love working with people, and I think it's nice to give people things for free. I know I shouldn't say it as a physio. I'm going to get shot by the physio Illuminati now. She works for free too much.
There's an Irish woman drinking some wine somewhere that's...
Honestly, Emily can be like, you little... I won't swear because she does. I don't swear. Thanks for being on that show. But honestly, like, I just feel like it's nice to give back to people what you can. And I think that money shouldn't mean good health, innit? You should
that's true.
And I feel quite passionate about that side of things.
That's big. Money shouldn't.
So do you think? Money? That shouldn't. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that massively.
Oh yeah, because once you've got money, you've got private.
You can do what you want. Yeah, I won't mention the royals because you know.
Oh yeah, we'll be here for hours and hours if we go into that. We'll be here for hours.
But you know what? When Philip's in trouble, where does he go? The NHS hospital. You know.
Then they're trying to make private.
Exactly, but that's you know what's coming. I can't say to him I'm going to get sacked. But, my man was like, I'm just a little son, so I told him not to say anything nasty about Boris again.
Yeah. Let's not even go there. So obviously you've ended up in football clubs, obviously along the way. Do you have a preference in regards to like where you wanted to do physiotherapy or rehab? Because I know some physios didn't necessarily want to go into football. They might want to do athletics or another sport. But did you have a specific love for football?
I loved football. I was so passionate. I used to go around the dream team. So not only on telly watching them, because I know the answer from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
He took us to all the charity games.
Oh, fair enough.
Just loved it. Just loved being around the dressing room. Loved being around the banter.
Yeah.
I was desperate to be a footballer, but bend it like Beckham's not real, isn't it? And when I played football, I found out very quickly that isn't what happens. It's not all nice.
Can you just tell the lovely people in this room and anyone that's listening who you support?
I'm a West Ham fan.
Come on!
Come
on, you're outnumbered,
Carl's
mate.
getting outnumbered.
You're outnumbered, mate. Sorry.
Do you know the worst bit is? I don't support anyone, but I just
You
feel like, nah.
You just love football, when you support football.
Yeah, it's different.
I hear that.
When
You know what, yeah,
when you work for clubs, it's different.
It's West Ham, they're not a big club. But...
When you work for
They are at the minute, though, aren't they? I can set up my whole chest at the minute, innit?
Same,
Normally I'm like, oh.
We've been hiding for years. Who just bought
Yeah,
this?
West Ham.
So you can clarify this for me.
Yeah.
Difference between physio and sports therapist. What are you, a sports therapist or physio?
I'm a physiotherapist. I'm chartered.
Okay, so what's the difference?
I'll be honest, it's a subtle difference. So sports therapists are like physiotherapists that specialise in the sports area.
Yeah.
They've got many different realms of what we've got: sports massage therapists, sports therapists, rehab therapists.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be arrogant enough to go on about what each of their degrees go into. But what a physiotherapist does is that they're chartered and they work in hospitals, basically. So I've worked in A&E, my background, before I went into what I'm doing now. We do chest physiotherapy, which is like respiratory physio, so we basically help.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to be disgusting. Like the word phlegm, you're going to hear it a couple of times now. So we help suck people's lungs out.
Yeah.
We do emergency care. We do cardiac rehab. I'll be honest, I've worked with sports therapists who are amazing. Yeah. I don't really, particularly in sports, see a massive difference. I'm going to get shocked by the physios out there now.
I'm just saying, is there a difference? Like, can someone, a sports therapist, call themselves a physio?
No.
Or is it a sports therapist?
It's a protected title. So I pay a lot of money to protect it, basically.
Yeah.
So I've got the CSP and from the HCPC as well. It's a lot of money for it, but and also it gives us insurance. But yeah, I understand that. I think sports therapists isn't actually a protected title, sadly, which I think for them is a shame because a lot of them go through degrees and do really loads of good work. Somebody can just go, oh, I'm a sports therapist now. So it's shocking. Like,
so secretly, is there a bit of a like, if you're a sports therapist but you're being called a physio? Is there a bit of a like issue there secretly that we don't know about?
I'll be honest. I've done a lot of work sort of helping people through university, and everyone that I've mentored that's been a footballer have become a physiotherapist afterwards. That's probably my amazing influence, I suspect. I think there's always a bit of banter in there about physios being better than sports therapists. I mean, I'm going to back up physiotherapists and say we're probably the best.
But they don't call them physios now. A lot of jobs going out are sports therapists.
It might be
it's because of the protected title when probably there's something against it now.
I mean, what you can say is that if for example you're a sports therapist and you're also a physio, I can report you to say they're using our title, and you'd be taken and had a good word with.
A lot of the old school clubs got to change.
I didn't even know that.
Of their physios that are
physio. I'm going to give away the secret now. Physiotherapist is protected. I don't know if physio is.
So it's got to be the whole kind of word.
Wow, this is news to me. I've just learned something today. I didn't know that.
Breaking ground.
A lot of physios are very protected about course of physiotherapists for that reason. It's a badge of honour that you've all that hard work. We do clinical hours in the hospital. We learn our trade a lot of the time, and I think it's good to protect ourselves a little bit. I just think it's a shame that not a lot of other sides have got that. I think that's what we should be fighting to the bottom. We should be rising to the top.
I've been
profession. Do you know what I mean?
I've been very lucky. One club I worked at when I was building the team, and I got to put an advert out for a physio. I got a lot back. I've been very lucky. The only time I've ever had a physiotherapist apply and give his time away for free, work for the NHS and come afterwards to training, come after matches. But it was a full physiotherapist, NHS, come with his badge and his gear. That's changed. Like, I was very lucky, and I know how lucky I was to this day of having him available to me. It was.
You know, if you get the right therapist, we use the term therapist rather than physiotherapist. If you get the right therapist, you're golden. Yeah. Because a lot of us give our time for not a lot of financial remuneration. I wish it was better, but it's not going to be like that, unfortunately. You know, I'm not banging in 20 goals a season. That's the way it works in football.
But you're looking after that player that does.
No one will ever see that side of it because they go, oh no, but you're the one putting him on the pitch. But ultimately, who gets the glory in it at the end of the season? It's 20 goals.
I mean, the thing is that like I didn't look at it like I looked at it as in like, those people deserve the praise basically, and not physios, until I can't remember where I was, and they were speaking about the fact that this particular club has got like a really, really low injury rate. That's down to the physio at the end of the day.
Do you know when you realise it as a player or coach, when you get an injury? And not a little, not a niggle, you get it when you get your ACL. And you go, well, how do I get back? And then you meet a physio or a set of physiotherapists or a set of therapists who help you get back, and you realise how important they are. As a physio, I want to be quiet. I don't want to be in the centre stage. I want to be sitting on that bench doing F all game. Yeah, that's my dream.
Because you've done your job.
I want to hand out Haribo's, have a bit of banter, and then go home.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting in A&E at 1 a.m. the next day, I've done something wrong.
Because that's it. But a lot of people don't realise it's the duty of care you carry.
100%.
So if a player does go
massively.
to the hospital,
I'll sit with them.
If it's not in the ambulance at that time, after the match, the first place you will go as your kind of duty of care to that player is to the hospital, whatever hospital they've gone to.
I'd be in the ambulance, to be honest, until somebody can come, a relative normally or next of kin will come and take over.
So how does that happen in matches? If you have to go with it, where's the physio coming? Because I know at the level you're at, there has to be someone there. So
normally you'd shout across to the physio on the other side and say, I'm going to have to go to hospital. Can you keep an eye on both sides? And it's Scout's honour, isn't it? I do it for them and they do it for me. You might ask a sub to go, but I think I feel uncomfortable doing it because something bad happens in that ambulance. You want to make sure you're there to give the player the best, isn't it?
So that's like your title, isn't it? It's part of your role.
It's all being human, isn't it? Like, if it's your mate, one of your brothers at the team. Well, I work at men's football, I should say. One of your brothers, I'd fight for them. I'll cheer when they score and I'll help them when they don't score.
So let's talk about Fisher. How did that come about then when you started it? How did you get involved there?
I was actually at a club before then. I was at Borough. Greenwich Borough, I should say.
Greenwich Borough?
They're not here anymore.
No, they're not.
It's sad, isn't it? So
Crazy.
this was like, I'm going to my age now, 12 years ago maybe. I've tried to add a year every time I say this story. So basically, a gentleman called Alex Gallego, he was based at Cray Valley, actually around the corner. I was mentoring under him from sort of 20, just ending uni into 21. One day he went to me, I've got a club to go to, can you come and help me? I went, yeah, sure. Go down to Cold Harbour around the corner, and I got there, I was like, he's not here. He goes, rang me up and went, Al, I'm not coming, this is your new team. Have fun.
Oh, really?
Just dropped you in the deep end.
You're ready.
But
I needed that.
But was that like you just said something you needed?
I was under his wing, I wouldn't leave. I was quite comfortable under there.
So it was like, actually, I'm not coming, and you're like...
this is your team. And then... Borough were being managed by a gentleman called Steve Firkins at the time, and they were both Bermondsey boys. They were the laddish Millwall supporting all the time. Yeah. Come in, I was shitting myself. I was like, if I just sit here quiet, no one's gonna know I'm here. And Ashley went, you know what, Ali, this is your dream. This is your time. Go and say hello. And that was it. So I did them for about a year, and then Steve got the job at Fisher and took us all with him. From there, really.
Yeah. From Fisher, where'd you go?
Fisher, Steve left, so I thought I'd retire at that point.
Really?
I thought, I've done a couple of years, but I'm going to go pro now.
She made her money.
I was fishing, you know. And then I got a shout from it was Eve from Belvedere. They were half through the year. They were winning the league at the time, and they were like, "We haven't got a physio. Do you want to come down just for half a season?" I went down there, and they won the league. And then Mickey Collins left ERIF, and I went to Tony Russell to BCD.
So these all voluntary roles, or they all paid now?
I'm paid now.
What I'm talking about, Fisher, was that?
I think Fisher I got a little bit. It wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of petty travel.
I'll be honest, I'm a cheap physio. I don't like bleeding clubs dry for what they've got. I think for what you do, you're never going to get paid enough. So I get enough that my petrol's covered, my expenses are covered, and I've got a little bit to go around the chip shop after a game, you know?
So a little bit like, okay, so let's say...
I'm loving this diet, by the way. I'm Haribo's and chip shops.
The diet, yeah.
Physio diets, you know?
I'm coming to games with you, you know?
Honestly.
With the like, okay, so we spoke about earlier on another pod, we spoke about players in their early stages cleaning pros' boots. Coaches, let's say, as coaches, we have to do a lot of voluntary work, and I think you should actually, because then it appreciates when the money comes. Do you think as a physio you have to do some free work to build some character, or do you think it's unfair to actually ask physios to work for free?
I think it's unfair. I think when you look at what a physio can bring you, I think the amount of time you spend. I mean, now it's like what, $9,000 a year to qualify.
Yeah.
As a minimum.
Wow, is that how much it costs?
Like
and there's no more bursaries. They've all gone now. So I mean, I was like I said, my bursary got paid. So when I went to football, and I lived with mum and dad at the time, so
Your money's yours, basically.
Yeah, like so. I was learning my trade, and I felt like when you don't get paid, you can afford to make a mistake in it, and you can afford to sort of like learn what you're doing. And when you get to a level, you can actually, you know what? I know my worth now. This is what I want from what I do. Sadly, do I think that's never going to change in football? Probably not. I think you have to. Physios have to be aware that, especially non-league, because my background is always non-league. I've done a little bit of pro, but I didn't.
Who was that with?
Charlton.
Charlton?
Yeah, academy.
Academy?
Yeah, I did the under-8s once. I'm like,
How long ago was that?
I did it, I'm showing my age again, I think probably 6-7 years ago. So I was doing the 15s for a bit, like on a Sunday, and that was well paid, to be fair. But for what it was, running around after 8-year-olds, you're like, oh, it didn't really bit of me. And I did it to try and put them into the pro game. I thought if I sat here and I was patient and I showed how good I was, I would get there. And then I think I got turned over twice. You know, you don't even hear about the job. You're like, you know what?
They've got a new physio.
I'm mugging myself off here.
I've got I've got about 15 questions in my head. There's so much going on in my mind right now.
It's not personal.
No, it's not.
I just say last week. I don't know what to ask her. Now you're like, boom,
literally. When I heard you was coming on, no. When I heard you was coming on, I was thinking, what the bloody hell am I going to ask a physio? I just didn't know what to say. But now we're here. Now I'm like, well, I want to know this.
As long as it's not a groin injury.
No, it's nothing to do with injuries. No, it's nothing to do with injuries.
Well, it's nothing to do with injuries.
No, nothing like that. I think first of all, I wanted to ask. A lot of physios that I know always speak about how competitive the field is. Why is that? Do you think there's loads of physios, not enough jobs?
We're real arrogant, that's probably why. Do you know what it is? It's always healthy, isn't it? Like, I think in football, everyone feels like they have to get to the top because they can.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a chill physio. I just sit and chill. And I've been in my manager now for 7 odd years, something like stupid like that. Been with Tony since BCD, and now I'm quite happy where I am. But people want to people are highly ambitious in football. What they want to do is get to be Gary Lewin at England.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
And they will step on you to get there.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm not tall. They can't get very far on me. They can step on me all they want. It is what it is. Like,
yeah.
I'm not about that life.
That kind of that's like a perfect lead basically into like the next thing I wanted to ask is that I feel like physios can be a little bit like refs, let's say, yeah. So like refs really look after each other. So like it's very rare that a ref will come out and diss another ref basically. And physios really like look after each other. But I know some physios, but I know I've been in a situation, not me personally, but I've been witness to a situation where one physio has diagnosed somebody wrong. And then a head of medic has come and thought, what the bloody hell has this physio just done to you? And that was said to the player that was misdiagnosed, basically, yeah? So is he wrong for saying that the other physio is wrong?
I'd probably be gentle about it, but I think that's about being kind, isn't it? I wouldn't throw a colleague under the bus to make myself feel better. But equally, sometimes we do get it wrong.
Because what happened in that situation was that an injury... No, I wouldn't say injury. A recovery that could have been 2 weeks turned into 6. So essentially, it made his life and the player's life longer than what it needed to be. So is that? Do you then pull that physio aside and have a conversation and say, what have you done here?
If one of my colleagues, I'd pull them, but I teach them, innit? Because it's about education. Perhaps it's a young physio doesn't know where they're going. Perhaps they've never seen that injury before. Maybe it's just player being a bit tricky. I've had that before. Players they go and see this physio. I go, right, be out for 6 months. So they go and see a different physio with better answer.
I'm hoping they're going to get told 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you find that disrespectful?
Very disrespectful. It's annoying. Dare I say annoying? I want to say something stronger than almost.
Do
a really bad word.
Say what you effing like.
Do you know what's very like? I've got a therapist that works with me at Charlton Women, and I've got really strictly sheared to my players, and I've told them, look, if you're hurt, I've got a squad of 25. You need to tell her you're hurt so we can recover you correctly. Otherwise, you're going to be. You could do something now that by the time you get to 25, you're not going to be able to play as much as you want because you've ruptured something or something. And do you find players are very reluctant to talk to the physio?
Some are, some aren't.
Some want to live in the
physio
room.
There are some that like live in my shoes practically.
Yeah.
There's one who lives in my car pretty much.
But them ones, so them ones, are they ones that play week in, week out, regardless. If they're injured, you'll do as much as you can to get them on the pitch.
Do you know what? I like those players though because they're constantly talking to me.
Yeah.
And if they talk to me, I'll talk to them. We know what's going on. It's the ones who hide it that worry me because they're the ones who've got a problem.
And they're the ones, but usually they're the ones that aren't playing as much because they're scared to not get the game time that they feel they need to get. So if they tell you and they're out for 3 weeks, but they've been sitting on the bench for the last 4, they're like, hold on, I've got 3 weeks out. I've not really played. I'm screwed for 7 weeks.
I think you're going a bit into psychology though, isn't it?
Yeah.
The psychology of injury is so interesting. I could bore you for hours on
I
it.
like that sort of stuff. It won't bore me.
It's about, honestly, because when you're physically rehabilitating somebody, you're also mentally rehabilitating them. Because injuries are horrible.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and when somebody's low, it's funny, players get low, they get sad, they have issues, they suddenly get an injury. There's a correlation, isn't there?
Yeah.
A player who's out of the squad and not doing very well, this was a bit, my manager's shit, this is rubbish. Suddenly he gets a hammy when he comes back. There's 2 schools, isn't there? One is that he's been out, so he's not been fit. Other one is that he's in his boots. So naturally he's a bit tighter, maybe a bit more, not moving very well. He's not eating well because he's a bit low. It's complicated. I think that with a physio, the key thing you need to have is a relationship with your players.
Yeah.
I don't understand that relationship with the players. I don't mean that in an inappropriate relationship. I mean, how do you not know your players? And I find the players are always with me. They get banter from the other boys. But you know what? I know them inside out, and they know me inside out. And I know when they're walking funny, let alone when they're playing a bit off. So I know they're injured before they know it.
The thing
and they'll get treated better for as a result.
Being in the physio room is like you naturally. I'm speaking from a player's perspective. You naturally feel a lot more comfortable when your physio is just generally talking to you. So if I'm in a physio room and my physio turns around and says to me, "So did you go on a date on the weekend?" Let's just say, for example, and now we're talking about the date that I was on the weekend. All of a sudden, you just relax and everything just feels so much better. And then when your physio does pick up on the fact that, oh, Sean, you know what? I don't think this, I don't think that. The rapport really helps you to trust what that physio says.
110%.
And you didn't mean to, but it's made me think. So, do you have a male or female physio?
At Millwall, female.
So she'll talk to you about dates and stuff. It's a little bit different on yours. If you start talking to, you probably do, but if you start talking to a bloke, it could be the wrong bloke about a date. I don't know how does that work? Like, what?
I'll be honest, I'm one of the boys. They came with that to the point where it annoys me. I'm not a boy. No, you're one of the boys now, don't worry about it. And they come in, and they have issues everywhere, and they fart, and it's disgusting.
Do you like that treatment? Like I know you said.
I think it makes them feel more comfortable, and I think you, as a physio, you'll know which players to do it with. There are some players I leave alone because.
What about your comfortability? You said it makes them feel comfortable.
Do you know what? But Cray, I've been with them so long, it's fine. I like being close. I like having an open relationship with them. I like being able to talk to them because I think it breaks down that barrier. Because as soon as that barrier comes up between male and female, you've got a problem on your hands.
Because we briefly spoke off of this about obviously change rooms. Do you go into the change rooms? And you said pretty much you go into the change room. And I was like, you don't miss nothing. Like there's males, you're in the change room, you don't miss anything. If there's that camaraderie around each other, camaraderie around each other, and obviously I want to just
cut in. I don't shower them though, just so we're clear.
Disclaimer.
How many times are you going to get me in that?
How many times are you going to get that? This is right.
Disclaimer. Just so that we're clear.
See how you feel now. That's how women feel in men's changing rooms sometimes.
Well, like that.
Can I just say, for a guy that manages
100%.
a woman's team, I've never seen you be this uncomfortable.
Do you know what it is? It's because I know how I act around young females because that's what I coach, and you've got to be very careful about what you say and how you act. So, just like I know you're throwing them jokes at me, I'm not used to it because I'm obviously around young females, so it's different. If I was around male,
do you know what it is? It's defensive. So I'd get there before you do.
Yeah.
So I've been in football 12 years. Every joke, everything that's ever happened, I've heard it. Shirt swapping. Oh, you on your period, a bit moody today. Everything you can throw at me, I've heard.
Then you just said it's defence mechanism.
So you get there.
But that's an assumption that I'm going to react in a certain way. Yeah. So you've already got there before me.
It is. You're coping.
Yeah.
It's coping.
Should you have to?
No,
you shouldn't have to. But at the end of the day, like I was having a really deep conversation with my mum yesterday. Yeah. But like the problem is that like over the generations and generations and generations, sorry to say this, but men don't change. We adapt. That's what happens. So the men's changing room has never changed. So you just learn how to cope.
See what else I do? When I go to football, I have baggy clothing on. I have my top button down so you can't see no cleavage.
Yeah.
I make sure everything's covered up. I have boring underwear. So if I bend over, you see something, you ain't seen nothing special.
I
have my hair scruffy.
Yeah.
I purposely smile off a few things I shouldn't smile off, to be honest, because frankly, you don't want to. Please don't hit me for this. You don't want to ask for nothing.
Yeah, no, do you know what?
It links in what's going on in the world now, isn't it?
I think with
Don't
the
wanna
Sarah
ask
stuff,
for
we
it.
were talking about
You
this.
don't want to ask
And the-
for it.
But you're going there like you shouldn't be made to feel
You
like
shouldn't.
that.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? It's like it's been, and I really hope that I'm the last of the dying generation of physios. Where when I started doing physio in football, there was one other girl. I think she was at Fisher at the time. I was at Borough. And that was it. Everyone else was like old school bucket and sponge man.
Yeah.
Big
Magic
geezer.
sponge.
Ooh, that's what I got
Magic
when I
sponge.
played
Yeah, big cold sponge, just throws it at you.
Vinegar.
Yeah. He's got the white also oil for your boots and all that business. That's what I've grown up in. So I've grown up in that environment where you have to kind of either you get strong and you get a thick skin, or you don't last.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that what I hope, and I don't want to sound a pioneer, it's too much of a big word, but I hope that me going through that situation, and me doing that, and physios like me come after me, like Emily, for example, from the game as much as I have, who's on our podcast. I hope we've done all that hard graft, so people haven't got to do it after me.
Yeah, I feel exactly the
You
same.
get what I
as a
mean?
female
And I
coach,
think
so
I'm
I
going to
get
say
it.
to the coach, I was saying about you guys the other day actually that we just don't see female coaches come in, from my point of view.
Yeah.
100%.
And you have a voice, and you have a social media presence. And you might find the same thing as us.
No, we do.
I
Everything you're saying,
can I just say,
it's like you live in my head.
I love your t-shirt, although I'm not a physio.
Oh, thanks. My dad bought that for me.
Yeah. Can I just say though, that, like, how proud I am the physios have that on there, because we were never acknowledged as physios.
Really?
No.
It's interesting to hear that from a physio's point
Yeah,
of
I mean,
view, because
To see a girl on the pitch, I'd be like, physio, it's buzzing. Our PR's gone up a bit, innit?
yeah, because what you just said
Yeah.
about like when you were coming up as a physio, you're used to like it being men basically. When I came in to the men's side of the game and I started working with boys and men and whatever, all I get is being called the physio. I don't get referred to as anything else. So it's like potentially now I'm looking at it from a physio's point of view. You've done some groundwork.
I've been dying to meet you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Really?
I know I watch your Twitter, not react creepily.
No, yeah.
No, me. I'm out. Laters.
It's good.
Do you know what? Because you're somebody who's exciting in the game. Because like you're coming up now.
Yeah.
And like I'm what you sound
Jesus,
silly.
we're getting autographs.
This is nice.
It is.
see that head, brother?
It's interesting to see the journey from somebody else's eyes. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. That's why like I'm saying like the fact that I didn't realise that how a physio would see that comment and that it's actually that you're actually seeing it quite positively and you're thinking we've made some groundwork here, because I know I was watching I don't know if you've seen the All or Nothing documentaries. Yeah. I watched the Tottenham one, and was it Tottenham? I'm sure it was Tottenham. I can't remember. But anyway, one of them was saying that in their environment they don't have any females at all, especially physios. Now the reason why they don't have that, not because I got the vibe, not because they don't think it was Tottenham that they don't. It's not that they don't think females are good enough. It's because they feel like men are distracted.
This
basically.
is the problem, isn't it?
Now, if you think about it, everything that you just said, baggy clothes, all of that stuff, is because men are too easily distracted. So before men just focus on not being injured or their rehab, you're focusing on other stuff. So they're not trying to change men's mindset. Do you know what I mean? They're just thinking, we're just going to deal with how men think. But really, there needs to be a different conversation here. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is that the Cray Wanderers get so defensive about it now. They're
Really?
like big brothers. They're like, don't say it to Ali. You know what? And when the crowd of the players behave themselves, we've been together so long. So like, sometimes I've been there for 7 years with them, and when the new player comes in, he goes, okay, this is the vibe. I'm going to get onto this because these boys respect her.
Yeah.
I'm going to respect her.
Yeah.
But back in,
of course.
I was with Tony at BCD and he brought us all along again. You know what? People seem to like bringing me along places. Either I'm really nice or I'm really cheap. I can't decide which. I don't know which it is. My agent's going to kill me for that comment.
So I'm going to deep dive a little bit when you mentioned about the stuff that you have to do to not ask for anything. Now, that doesn't come unprovoked. Do you know what I mean? That comes because you've had experiences. So can you necessarily think of, maybe not your first time, but a time where you thought, because I've been here in the situation where you think, have I asked for that? Or this has happened, was that my fault? So have you had an experience like that as a physio where someone said something, done something, and you thought, oh, maybe I need to wear baggier clothes tomorrow.
I'll tell you what you get. You get the thing of when you say to some players making you feel uncomfortable. And it hasn't, I'm very lucky, it hasn't happened that much to me. That's not an invitation, guys who are listening to this. Because I do headbutt if needs be.
Sometimes it gets like that.
It is. Sometimes you've got to just defend yourself other ways.
Yeah.
But you know when you think about it and you say to people like, oh, I feel a bit weird about this. And they go like, well, you know, if you're stronger, were you being too friendly? Were you being too open? You know, were you sitting too close to him? And a part of you goes like, do you know what? How about moderating their behaviour rather than mine? But do you know what the easy option is, isn't you? To moderate my behaviour, because my mum always taught me that the only person I can control is myself. Yeah. 100%. So if I do what I can to get, like, it's the argument of walking through Clapham Common with your headphones on. Yeah. Why should I have to put my headphones off because someone might grab me into a car? Yeah. Why should I have to do that?
Do you know how angry listening to this? It makes me
cringe as a man.
You know what the worst thing is that I feel like I'm doing football a disservice by doing this discussion. I've never touched on it before because I feel like I'm painting the 99% of people in my life who are amazing men and who inspire me and my mentors and my brothers. I'm painting them badly because of 1% that's a bad one.
But you're not, because let me touch on this, because I'm obviously briefly touch on the Sarah thing where obviously that's all happened. It's not like people going out and saying all men aren't the same. Like people know that. People aren't stupid. So you're not painting anyone, because let's be real, you wouldn't have followed, who's the gaffer you with now?
Tony.
You wouldn't have followed him anywhere if he treated you a certain way.
Yeah, of course.
So no, you're not treating any of them a disservice, or the mentor that dropped you off at Greenwich. You're not treating them anyway, because what you're doing is you're actually saying these people are good people. They taught me and helped me get to where I need to. But there are incidences and people that go in a certain way, and like you've just said, like having, I don't.
Do you know what I think it is? Do you know what I think it is? I think that similar to you, I've also got very good men around me that they treat you like a little sister. Like there's been times where like I'm actually not a physio, I'm not qualified in those areas, but I know like when I was at Tooting Beck, there was the physio at the time he was really old, so physically he couldn't get on the pitch. And the manager at the time is my best friend. So a player was injured, and he wasn't injured. I think he needed his asthma pump. Yeah, that's it. He needed his asthma pump. So I went to run on the pitch just because I don't think the manager should do it. And he was like, Sean, don't you dare. And he's like, I would rather do it than you, because we've done all this work about you not being deemed as a physio for you to go and run on the pitch with an asthma pump. Yeah, so it doesn't make sense. Now, I get that, is that I would never discredit any of the men that have been protective, and all of my advice and mentors, they're men. So, and there's so many that I can phone, and I would never give them a bad name. But at the same time, what I'm not willing to hide anymore is the fact that how do men think we feel when you walk into a room and somebody slept with someone on a Friday night, there's a video on it, and they're showing each other the video of the bird they slept with on the weekend, and we walk into that room? Like, how do men think that we might think? Now, you see when you get that comment, oh, she ain't gonna mind, she's one of the boys. Yeah. And you think, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, you might see me as one of the boys, but can you not have this conversation when I'm not here?
Exactly.
Or elsewhere.
That's exactly what I mean, though. It's football's got a mentality, unfortunately, and that mentality, if you're in a minority, whether that's female or anything else that's a minority in football, they don't want to cater to you. And if you make a noise, you're being troublesome.
The thing is,
right, nail on the head.
I think you're hitting it on the head, and football is still, unfortunately, in the olden days of the lads and let's get down the pub, but unfortunately, unlike a lot of other sports, football hasn't come into the 21st century.
I'm still an archaeologist in some way, because a lot of dinosaurs about.
Yeah, 100%. And
I know I know the pod before this was about, like, we had Kieran, and he was from Millwall, and Millwall are, you know, they're just slapped with that tag of unfortunately being, you know, the worst supporters, which I'm not saying they're not. I think, as you were saying as well, you don't want to badmouth people. It's the few that spoil it for the majority. But you're 100% correct. There isn't a reason why men couldn't look at you and go, yeah, she's one of the lads, but you know what? She's a woman as well. Let me just respect that. Let me just respect that, and okay, like, leave it there and then.
Do you find, this is going to be a massive spanner, by the way, but like I can only speak from a coach's perspective, and I'm probably wrong for even asking this question, but we're here. If it's that bad, cry it out. But
No
like
worries.
from a coach's and manager's perspective, yeah, you get a lot of whispers about physios, and a lot of people speak about the fact that like a lot of people expect that physios get around in the industry, or that they sleep around in the industry. It's probably a very wrong. I say probably. It is a wrong stereotype that physios have, but it is one. It's just similar as like, you know, black people not being able to keep timing. Do you know what I mean? It's like one of those stereotypes that we just live with, basically. Yeah. But do you hear that from the physio side?
I hear it about our physios. You know, like to the guys like, what? Like, I don't want to hear this nonsense. Like, I know her really well. And also, I think it's an assumption, isn't it? Also, it would be exhausting because there's 25 lads in my team. Yeah. Let's be honest, to get round them all.
You've got a lot of time on your hands.
I'm nearly 33. I ain't got the time for it no more. I'm honest.
So you've got 2 teams though, so that's like triple. And the Dons are endless.
I mean, let's be honest about the Dons. Like Big G, I'm not really want to get involved in that. Really. Like, I'm going to be honest.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm being real. I'm not about life anymore. But you know what it is? It's that thing, isn't it? That I always think when people haven't got anything negative to say about your quality as a person, quality as a physio, they always take a person. Yeah. So you know what? It's easy to go, Ali's a slag.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah,
and you know
100%.
what? It's believable, isn't it? Not, well, whatever reasons. But you go, oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
She's around men all the time. Whatever. But actually, if they're saying that about me, then good luck to them. Because I know what I'm not. I know what I am.
Yeah.
And if you can't take my physio qualities, and you can only take me because you think I'm a slag or I'm butters, whatever
you want to call it, yeah.
Then do you know what? Bring it on.
So how do you find, without like going into your personal circumstances, but like being in the industry, how do you take on your dating, if that makes sense? Because like without getting into my personal circumstances,
in lockdown,
in lockdown it's nullified. Yeah, like you've got no chance.
# don't tell Boris.
Yeah, sorry. Have you got any questions? You better just
jump in, mate. Jump in.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
I'm so happy I don't have to see a corner.
So many men find like the female thing in football intimidating. And I'm 5'3". I don't think I'm intimidated. I've been intimidated a few times. And they're like, look at me. I'm
do you know what I think?
Just touching on what you said though, the dating scene. Yeah. Sorry to try and go back.
No, go on.
How does that work?
Same with you.
Is it quite?
Do you know what I mean?
Wait, he's married.
Do you get?
Is it? Okay. Well, before.
Do you get partners that are insecure?
Yeah,
like,
massively.
The fact that you're
don't even get me started.
You know what it is? What you said about the changing room, like you see them all naked. I don't know what it is. Like I think about being in a room with men who are naked, but somehow.
Now she's seen a bigger dick than mine. Nah.
Yeah, it's a bit mad.
I've been in this 12 years, mate. I've seen everything.
Honestly, I think the thing is,
I have no more surprises in my life.
Well, this is it. I think the thing is that I just don't think a lot of men can tolerate the fact that 7 guys might ring my phone today, and they're not trying to get into my pants. They're coaches, they're players, it's just work. It wouldn't be any different if I worked in another company and it's just my colleagues ringing my phone. Basically.
I'm not going to ring you anymore, Shaw.
You don't ring me anyway.
Do you know what it is?
No, what we do when I have rang you, it's been like nearly an hour chat.
Do you know what it is? It's all that TikTok and all the social media nowadays, and all you ever see is men. And I'm a man, obviously, but all you ever see them is say, yeah, but if you have a guy best friend, he's only looking for one thing. He's waiting for that one guy to slip up, and then he's going to try and dive in. Now, when that, I'm not saying that's right.
Yeah,
but I'm saying
honest,
it's all that
my
TikTok
2 best mates are guys that I've been around for years, and they're blokes.
Yeah.
And honestly,
you've been kept them waiting this long.
Yeah.
Hey.
And they're both getting married now. I think they've just given up. But basically, like I've just been around men my whole life.
Yeah.
I feel so comfortable with them.
I think it's just guys. There's a lot of guys that have that insecurity about themselves, and that's why
it's sad, really, when you think about it.
But it's like that whole stereotypical men should be men, isn't it? Like that is a stereotype as well. Like if you've got to be man.
I say the worst story I've ever had. I was in Clapham on a night out, and my mates Kenny and Natty were both there, and there was some guy trying to chat me up. He was going to play football and all that. I was like, oh, that's cool. I think you played for a team like probably a Sunday league team at a time, and I was like, oh, that's cool, mate. That's really good. That's really good. And Natty went to him, She's a fisherman. She's about 4 inches above you, and the poor guy destroyed. And I was like, don't tell him that. Like, he was just trying to chat me up, poor guy. I wasn't going to be rude to him.
He was a good-looking one as well.
I wouldn't go that far. Honestly, it was the poor guy just was like, oh, she knows football.
I think what's
embarrassing
difficult is first of all, what Ali just said.
Emasculated.
You see, when you meet a guy for the first time and he doesn't know what you do for a living, and you meet and he tells you that he used to kick ball, whatever. Do you know how quick it is to find out if he's chatting shit because you're in the system. You're in
go, oh, I know it.
And you think, I know that guy. Did you know?
Yeah.
And then they look at you like, shit, she knows. Do you know what I mean? But I think what's more difficult as a straight female is most of the men that you're going to meet are going to be in the industry. But if you pick up too many wrong ones, now you're the slag. Do you know what I mean? So you could date. So you could not even date. You could have a relationship for 2-3 years, break up, have another relationship for another 2-3 years, break up. Same thing. You could do that 3-4 times, across the space of say 10 years. But now there's been 4 guys in the football industry that all know each other. Now you're the local bike. Do you know what I mean? Whereas actually you were just dating as any other woman would, but the network is so small that you have to be really selective. So I think it's quite difficult to.
Can I give you the vice versa on that? I'm sick of men some days.
Yeah,
I spend most
100%.
of my life around blokes, and I have a good relationship with them. They text me, and I've been all my life either on Sunday and now Saturday and a Sunday now. And 3 evenings a week around blokes. I just want to be at home and be on my own. I just watch
Cat
The Crown.
and my dog.
Yeah, just watch The Crown or something. Bit of anime, bit of Crown, leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Bit of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, man.
Flipping it back.
Team Levi,
innit? How did DONS come about?
Oh, that was around out of Twitter.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, the DONS put out a tweet as they like to do. Oh, we need a physio, and I think Dean Carpenter put on there. Carps is with me for a few teams. At Little Physio. My coach at Cray put on that, and then I got a message. I said, and then a message saying, "Get into your DMs, have a little chat." And it was Ryan Palmer. We had a chat. I said, "I'll do one game for you. That's no problem." Like, so it was a semi-final, something like that. It was at Fisher's New Ground actually. It's like a welcome round in itself, isn't it?
Isn't that where you play now, Fisher?
That's Mill's home ground.
So I've never been to the New Ground, so it was like, it's cool for me
nice,
personally.
Going back to where you started.
It's nice little sort of finishing the circle up and all that. And then went there one game and got absolutely hooked. I was like, this is cool. I quite like this.
Good fans in there.
So were you brought here by the glitz and glam?
Obviously, I'm a very glamorous person, as you know.
Now she's done.
I'm done now. I've got all the gear.
You're looking fresher than most of the DONS players. What's going on? Are you reading the kit? You reading the kit? Okay.
I've got 18 of these indoors.
Have you?
They're on eBay if you want to get in there.
Yeah,
I'm to get on
free
there.
promo.
I'm just wear bottoms. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
So in your physio career, what's been the most daunting moment for you where you thought to yourself, actually, this isn't for me? Have you had them moments?
I have. I think I've had them more this year than anything else because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's shit. You know, you sit there thinking, we're going to come back. I'm sitting waiting.
Yeah.
My kids sitting there all folded every evening, waiting for the phone call that we're not going to get curtailed. We did get curtailed in the end. I think the most daunting thing you have is when you feel like you're. It's a horrible one. I think it's probably when you get a bad injury and you know that this is not going to go well. I think they had one this season. We were at Bristol with Cray Wonders. And one of our players had an anaphylactic shock reaction in the middle of a game. Oof. And he's never had it before. And we were in the middle of Bristol on I think it was a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And you can it's going badly. Like, he came up to me. I was like, "What's going on with your feet?" I almost said his name, Reese. "What's going on with your face, Reese?" And he's like, "I don't know. I feel really funny."
I think I saw that over Twitter.
Yeah, it kicked off a bit, and then it was the fact that it was going very quickly, and you're thinking, "Okay, what do I do?" So now I never got to control him. I've then got to tell a manager this is going on. And the game, referees just blown for half time and called the game. I was like, hang on a minute, this is going quite badly. I've then got a lot of upset players around him going, "Oh, my mate's really bad," and his airway's shutting off. And there's an element that you're thinking, I've called an ambulance, you're waiting for them. You know you've got 3 to 4 minutes. You know it's not long.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting outside the room so the players can't see me prepping an airway to go into his airway in case he collapses and getting the defib ready. And there's a moment when you go, big deep breath, this is on you now. Do you know what it is? It's the equivalent of a physio penalty. You know, World Cup final, you've got penalties the last minute of the game.
I'll tell you what,
And
for
you
the
can win the World
challenge
Cup.
today, we should have just done first aid and compressions and see.
I would have bought. I've got 3 resus dollies. I would have bought them along, honestly. Yeah. I'm a nerd. But
That's
yeah, it sounds
crazy.
silly, but it's you've got people around you, but you're alone essentially, and it's on you, and you think it's a guy that you know well. It's a guy that he's like a little brother to me, and he's possibly going to die in the next 10 minutes if you don't do the right thing.
To be honest, I feel like physios at times, like especially in that situation that you're in, you're prepping to potentially do something. Could be great managers because at that point you have to manage a bunch of people to do different jobs. So just flip that on its head and just say, look, you're playing fullback today. Or you're up and down the line.
I'm willing to give it a crack, I won't lie.
Do you know what this sort of reminds me of a little bit? Now, I've never really noticed it, is you're more like a fireman. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like the firemen sort of, they wait around. She could go to 10 games and not do anything, and then that one game where you've got everything going off or something really bad happens.
It's got to be switched on all the time.
That's
and you know what it is? Before every game, and it sounds like but you have to mentally, I should say, it's not me, but you go around the ground and you actually know where the exits are, you know where your defib is, you know where the stretcher is, you know where the local hospital is, you might give it a little Google quickly, and then you sit there and think to yourself for 5 or 10 minutes, if this happens, what am I going to do? So if my player collapses in the middle of the game, has a heart attack, this is what I'm going to do now. If my player falls down and breaks his leg, this is what I'm going to do at this point. And you kind of more mentally practice. I know you guys from coaching do that quite a lot, but you kind of mentally...
Do you have emergency plans then? Because we're at Charlton, when something happens, we've got something that's sent to the clubs, and when we go to away games as well, it's sent to us, the physio procedure, if something happens.
Can I be honest?
What the procedure is.
I'm the emergency plan in non-league. That's the problem with non-league, is that I don't want to frighten your players off. It's on you. Because when you go to Charlton...
Do you do that though? Do you do like that planning of... Because you've been... I
know from the podcast do it. I don't do it for my club, but I'll have a little chat. I mean, I'm a bit of a standoffish physio to be honest. I don't like to go and say hello to him before a game all the time, but...
Competitive mode.
Yeah, I mean, no, you know what it is? I've got so much shit to do a lot of the time. I don't want to go and say hello to them. And normally I know a lot of them, I go and say hello to them, but you always say to them, like, look, I'm available if you need me. I think that's the key thing, is that you can tell when a physio's on a pitch having a problem. I mean, I can. I mean, maybe it's experience talking. If I think I can see a physio on a pitch, another team struggling, I'll run on and help them. Because ultimately, there's nothing worse than being on your own on that pitch. Nothing worse. I mean, we're quite lucky that our photographer at our club at Cray is also, he works for the Met, so he's trained in airways. And I didn't know that until he, after this, he went to me, Ali, I could have helped you. I was like, I didn't even think of it. For me, I was like, it's on me, I've got this. But I've worked in A&E, so like...
Yeah, it's a big responsibility. Have you had a moment where you think, shit, I don't know what to do?
Yeah.
And how do you manage that as a physio?
You have to admit it first.
That's true. That's so big.
Yeah, true.
And you know what? Sometimes you have to just admit you don't know something and go, you know what? I'm out of my depth a little bit. I think emergency stuff I feel pretty happy with. And happy if it happens, happy if it doesn't happen kind of situation.
Yeah.
But if I get a player who I can't get fit, whatever reason, sometimes it's a personality thing, I don't trust you, you had a setback. So like your physio, you said about the doctor stepped in. If I was a physio, I wouldn't see that player again for that injury. I wouldn't go anywhere near them because the trust is broken. There's 0 point doing it. 0 point doing it. Get somebody else in. Fresh slate.
What happens in that situation? So let me ask from manager's perspective. That happens. I'm the gaffer. You're my physiotherapist. We've got a player who I want to get out. And they've gone to you and you said, look, it's going to be 3 or 6 months, and they've gone, no, I'm going to look at someone else and go to someone else. But they said that blatantly to you when you said, look, you're out for 6 months, and they've gone, no, I'm going somewhere else for another opinion.
You said you find it disrespectful, innit?
Yeah, it is, but you
come to me and say, look, I don't want to work for him no more. If I was your manager, how should I react to that? Because as me, I would personally agree with you. I'll go, you know what, I can't have that. Regardless if you're my best player, I can't have him no more because you're my team as well.
I think it depends.
So I've got to look after him.
I think with that situation you explain, is that I would like you and my manager speak to the player and say, look, what's going on here? Like, Al's saying this.
Would an apology do?
Do you know what? It's not an apology. It's about us just being adults about it. Because I'm still going to treat. If he goes down an injury, I'm going to treat him still. It's more just like for that injury in that moment, for his rehab, for example. I might say, you know what? If you want to pay somebody else to go and do your rehab, that's on you. But I'm happy to help you when you want to come back. It happens every single season, multiple times a season. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. I'm mostly right. I'm not gonna be disrespectful about it, but you know, I think like when you've been doing the game a long time, you get a sense of somebody who's ready to get. I mean, a lot of time with managers, the conflict comes, and probably from coaches. I'd love to hear your opinion. Actually, it's if when people aren't mentally ready to play yet, so they're physically ready to go, but you know a player when they're not there yet. Mentally, they're not quite there. They're a bit nervous, a bit worried, and that's when you get a bad injury. If they're going into a tackle a little bit ginger. So help me, I've seen the worst injuries from that.
I've seen that, and I've pulled them players before. I've subbed a player on, and we only have 5 subs. I've put a player on, seen him backing out of challenges because they've just come back. They're fit enough. They've shown me they've done the yo-yo, they've done all their tests. They're fit enough, but they're 1-on-1 with keeper and backed out of it. And I was like, on another day you tap it around and put it in the back of the net. And the fact you pulled out there, dangerous for me because then I have to pull them because if they don't go into that keeper that way. And they go in half-hearted.
Honestly,
they're going to get
I've
hurt.
seen the worst injuries from that.
Just pull it out.
Yeah.
I think you're as a player, you're traumatized by what you went through. Yeah. So like I know when I've never had really bad injuries, as in like months. Yeah, touch wood, like months worth. But I've done my ligaments in my ankle a couple of times. That one mentally is difficult because it's your ankles and they're really. People make out that ankle injuries are light, and they're not. They're not at all. And you feel every knock after that. I reckon my hamstring was probably the worst I've had. Now I know when I felt that. I just walked off the pitch. I didn't even bother because I wasn't even trying to play on it. I just knew it went, and I just walked off. Now I know that when my hamstring felt better, I still waited another week before I came back.
I think that's acceptable. Physio opinion, I should say, because you guys are like, you're going to kill me just then, but it's that thing of as a physio, you know your players inside out. You've got to, I mean, if I go into like your team did a game, I might be a bit like, you know what, Gaffer, I don't know your players very well. This is what my opinion is, but you know, when your physio comes back, get him to check him over for me. Yeah, not a problem.
So, would you say, and this is throwing something out there because we briefly touched on it, the psychological aspect of it as well, which is what physios have to do. Do you reckon? If you become a physiotherapist, you should also do some sort of psychological.
I'm CBT trained.
CBT, that's the cognitive behavioural training. So, but do you reckon?
Physios do a lot of work on psychology.
That's what I'm saying. Do you reckon?
A lot.
So I didn't know that. So
is that the difference with a sports therapist do that?
I've never looked at the sports therapy degree well enough. I'm gonna sit on the fence and get into some splinters. Because I'm gonna get so much hate from some of the sports therapists.
But if you don't know,
I don't know.
You don't know.
That's very interesting.
I never bothered to look at it to be honest because I've got my degree in it.
Yeah.
Do managers consider? As a physio that's worked in us, you've worked with one main one that you've been with for ages, but I suppose you've dipped and dabbed, helped out.
I've dabbed a lot of teams this season, sadly. I did it again, didn't I?
I tried to avoid that one. Do you think managers consider the psychological effect of a player coming back?
Do you want my nice answer or my honest
answer?
The honest one.
No.
I don't think they do either.
Some are very good at it, some don't. And I think, you know when you see those tweets online, like, maybe it's Mental Health Day, text me if you need anything, and they're the same bods that you see, like, slamming a player for having a bad game because he had a shit week at work.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
So do players consider the psychological effect?
No, but that's my job to make them understand it. And I think I'm going to speak at you, but you're a man and I'm not. As a man, I feel you get brought up into an environment where you can't admit that you're not happy. And you're not strong, and that you're not providing, and you're not infallible. And I feel like as females, we get brought up being like, you know what, if you want to cry. You don't feel happy, talk about it.
It's changed. It's changed now. Like
it's starting
to. It's a positive.
Yeah.
Because I had players in the last, Cray particularly, maybe 2 years ago, but our last full season, where I was putting him in. They were sobbing in the physio room because he just mentally just in anguish, and it breaks my heart to see.
The thing is that like when. Like being a player, being injured and sitting and watching a game is horrible.
These guys weren't injured; they've had bad times in their life, but they were just trying. I mean, you know what it was? The weirdest thing was is that their game was stepping down, so they were playing badly. And I'm being like, why is so and so playing so badly? This is really weird. And then suddenly he misbehaved, and I was like, this isn't him. Come in for him now. Come in here now. When you can have a chat. What's going on with you? And it took a minute of that chat of what's going on with you for him to go, I'm not going to go into details of it, but this is happening in my home. I'm really bad right now. He just started, and you know what? as soon as he did it, he was better again a few games later.
Is that your job?
Yes.
You would say yes, it is.
You say that's a physio's
Yes.
job. That's quite interesting.
120%.
Very interesting.
I was about to touch on
It is
that.
our
plus,
main job.
I was going to say, do you
Very
think
interesting.
the mental health side of things is a separate brand, or do you think they need to put it into people that are becoming physios or physiotherapists or sports therapists? And did you have to do like an FA thing as well to know you've just done it
Did it
through
on my own.
NHS? Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that because I'm sure the FA's got a physio, they've got injury courses now, haven't they? Sorry. Do you reckon they need to put mental health into all their courses they do?
125%. If I could make it bigger than that, I would. I can't think of any bigger numbers than that currently. But do you know what it is? It's everybody's responsibility. But who has more time in a team than a physiotherapist? The players. Think about it. Who has that little bit of time in the physio room when the door's shut? My players know when that door is shut.
It's you and them.
That there's someone in there with me on his own and that door is shut to give me a bit of time with them. I might have Ben Mundell trying to break in still because he's constantly in there with me all the time. I can at him because he's awful. But do you know what it is?
So interesting.
It's that thing of as a manager, you've got your own stresses, haven't you? So ultimately, if you're losing games, someone's going to start questioning you. I'm not saying I don't care about a result. I care massively about the result. But I care about my players a bit more. And my job is welfare, isn't it? It's what it is. My job is welfare.
I think it's this has just opened my eyes massively. Because I think we as coaches will think it's our job.
Yeah,
I think it's my job.
But I think it is your job.
It's everyone's job.
I think it's about...
Yeah, that's true.
And do you know what I'll do? We have a Cray Wonders system. I'm going to give Joe Vines his credit now. Because what he set up is a system for the players to tell us how they're feeling without telling us how they're feeling. So we have a score between 0 to 10 of how you're feeling today. Now, take that what you may be. It may be aches, pains, muscle problems, or just feeling a bit low. And that player will come to me and go, Ali, I'm a 5 today. And we have a trend we look at each week. And if somebody's dropped off, we go, okay, that's the trigger. So I'll go to Vinesy. Trevor, I don't know if I've got in the team. Trevor has been consistently scoring a 9 all season. He's suddenly gone to a 4. Can you have a little chat with him for me? And he'll go as a bloke to him and go, what's going on, mate? And it might be, I'm really fatigued. I've had 4 games in the last 3 weeks. So I'll give him a lot of training.
How often do you do that?
Every week, every game.
Do you know what? That's big from Vinesy.
Vinesy's ridiculously good at this.
That's big because I don't know him personally, but I know of him because he was at Tooting when I was.
I'll be honest, great man to speak to. Really good. Mental health wise, he's on it.
And his brother's a good goal scorer.
Just a bit.
But I think it's everyone's responsibility. And at Charlton, we had something similar when Guy Pictures was there. He had a form that went out all the time, and it had what you just said, but it was a Google Doc.
As is a Google Doc now this season, we've got to go high tech.
But
before it was me and my little book.
I love the Google Doc.
I love that. I think that's massive. It is everyone's choice, and what you just said, that who gets the most time behind closed doors with a player is the physio. So that's opened my mind.
But it starts a conversation. There's no reason why. And if I was concerned about a player's welfare, I'd go to a manager and say, look, Trevor's not happy at the minute. Can you just step in? Because I'm not comfortable where this is going. Yeah. Can we as a team support him? And it might be I go to a senior player and go to them, hi, one of your 18s is not looking very good. Can you go and get an arm around him for me? I might prompt those discussions.
I think some physios, physiotherapists, I keep trying to correct myself,
no, use physio. I don't mind. I'm not that.
You pay for the title.
True. Now we know that. Yeah, now we know that.
The title, yeah, Cole will be winning it.
But I think they're neglected. They're not neglected. Sorry, that's the wrong word. They're undervalued.
I think they're probably undervalued, underpaid as well.
Yeah.
I think they're Look, we could go into a discussion of money and everything. I think they're more underpaid because they pay a lot more than coaches do pay to get onto their badges, but I feel coaches are underpaid. I feel the whole football industry, from the league downwards, is underpaid, apart from the players.
I think it's because it's popular, isn't it? And everyone wants to work in football because what they see is the glamour of the Premier League. Yeah. And that's what they all think. So what the argument will be is if I left Cray, someone will come jump in my spot.
That's what I'm saying. No, I don't.
So that will always be the argument.
But I think that's where you're wrong. And I've seen it. I've seen physios leave because physiotherapists leave because they feel a certain way, and managers lets them go because they feel like they can be replaced, and then never bloody replaced. Like it's as much as we just spoke about the competitiveness, it's also understanding your value as well. And as much as people think letting people go is easy, look, if they let you go tomorrow, say for example, use Cray Wonders because you're there, they let you go and they've got another physio in, great, they're taking your spot. Will they do what you do?
Obviously not.
Probably not.
Honestly, will they do what you do? Will they have that time with the player? Will they give the player that little bit of a time a day? Will their phone be open 24/7?
If I'm being controversial, I think they should have that. I'm not saying phone all day. I think you should have cut-off points personally. I've got a personal life.
Yeah, but I'm saying, would they be available?
But I think why get into football if you're not going to be available? Why do it to yourself?
Some people,
why give a half-assed job?
I think
some people do just get into it.
I think what Carl's trying to get at is like, if you go, it's the certain touch. So the only experience I can draw from is what I'm going for. It's like at Cheltenham. Okay, so obviously at the beginning of the season you had this closed tight net, right, of myself and Terry, the two analysts, TJ and Uchi, and then obviously we lost Terry, and for a week I think it was hard, wasn't it? It was like, oh, we've lost such a great guy now, but if you go, they're not just replacing they're replacing a part of the furniture,
a personality, basically,
and they can get someone else in. You can get another bod in, but are they going to be like they're saying? Are they going to pick up the phone? And I think sometimes clubs don't look at that. They it might be at the Premier League where you can just sort of chop it because everyone's professional, but especially I'm in non-league as well. We haven't got physio, but there are certain weeks when certain.
How much you paying for?
I mean, I can ask. Tim will put a budget in. But,
I kind of get the vibe, that like physios are kind of like goalkeepers in a way. So like a goalkeeper could have a fantastic game, pull off 35 saves in a game, but let them make one stupid mistake basically, and you will never forget that mistake, and that goalkeeper will get rinsed because like I said, you could make 35 saves, but let in one goal and you've lost 1-0. And then your whole game goes out the window now. So all those
more dangerous for physios.
So with physios, let's say, is that like you could have a fantastic like injury prevention rate, if you want to call it that, but make one mistake and you've potentially cost a player from a month to 6 months. Now I know because I'm guilty of this, is that I've experienced physios do mad stuff, and I will be the one to be like, get her out. Do you know what I mean? Because what the hell is that? Do you know what I mean? So I'd be or get him out or whatever, because the mistake you've made right now is so detrimental. It's like, there's just some jobs that can't afford to make mistakes. Like I was watching a comedy sketch one time and they were saying that like you can't have a pilot make a mistake. You can't have a doctor make a mistake because it's so detrimental. Physios are kind of in that realm whereby if like what you said about that story you just gave about the defib and the guy having an anaphylactic attack, if you'd done something wrong at that moment, you could have cost a man his life. Now that's a big pressure.
It is.
It's a big pressure.
But you know what? Experience teaches you that sometimes what you've got to do is wait and see. And I don't mean that like in a Hamilton, like wait for it moment. It's more like what you have to kind of focus on in that situation particularly is it's just, you know what? There's not much more I can do wrong in that situation besides like trying to jab him with a knife or something. In the meantime, trying to help his airway.
Yeah.
All I can do at that moment in time is get help. And that is the key thing for physios. If you're uncomfortable and if it's getting out of hand, big deep breath and let time slow down. It's so important. Like it really is. Like
I mean, like, how would you feel as from a physio's perspective? I'm a player. I'm injured or whatever's wrong with me, basically. And you've come to me, and you actually don't know what's wrong. Now, as a player, if a physio says to me, I don't know, I think I'd rather you tell me that you don't know than try to bullshit me on the spot.
I'd probably tell you.
I think I'd rather know.
I'd be careful how I told you, because I think, again, it's that mental management of an injury. So I don't want to go like, I have no fucking idea what this is, man. Good luck for your career. You're done. Yeah. It's nice with niddles if you fancy it, but I wouldn't do that. What I'd perhaps say is like, look, let's say it's an injury to a ligament in the knee. I'd say, well, your ankle looks good, your hips look good, everything was fine, but there's something going on in this knee. And we've got two options at this point. What we can do is we get a scan on it and clear that there's nothing sinister or serious going on, or or we can get you another opinion from somebody else. I said, don't be scared to ask for help. Like,
Just the way
I
you
ask for
deliver
help
the
all the
message.
time.
Yeah.
And I think it's about making it so that it's not telling you you're fucked, because like a lot of how I present myself to you will make you feel calm or not calm.
Yeah, 100%.
Like with Reece, I won't lie, I was bricking it. I was thinking what you're thinking. If this, he's gonna die.
Yeah, and
On
it's
one
on me.
watch.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle
yeah.
of Bristol. I was thinking, I've got work tomorrow morning in a hospital, and I'm gonna have to go to A&E with this kid. How am I gonna get home? My dad was at the game. I think, how am I gonna get my dad home?
Yeah.
And I think, you know what, Ali? Game face.
Breathe.
No, it's not even that. It's game face.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm in control of this.
Yeah.
I'm in control of how he perceives me. If I panic, he's going to panic, and it's going to go worse a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You know what? Put on my big girl pants and get on with it.
I love that.
And then afterwards, I'm going to cry on the coach on the way home.
With no one listening, basically.
That was horrendous.
I'm going to round it back because obviously I've been thinking quite a bit about what you said quite a while ago. To be fair, about you make sure your top button's done up, you make sure you've got baggy clothes on, and again, it's just not sitting right. And I know we briefly said obviously it's perception of the way men are, but something must have led to that.
Okay. Do you want the honest answer?
We want it uncensored.
Then they're not good stories. I'll put it that way to you.
No,
and they're not comfortable to hear as a man sometimes.
Alright, Carl, leave the room.
No.
And I'll say this as a manager, it's not comfortable to hear these.
It is difficult to hear things, but I think...
Sorry.
What?
So, sorry, we'll keep rolling.
It's me, sorry.
She's going to me, she's cold. Then she goes, I'll put it down to
See
20
how we
degrees.
just got really serious and used to...
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cut that bit out.
No,
to be fair, I understand what you're saying. It is uncomfortable, but I think people need to hear, to understand.
I was going to say, I think given the situation in the world right now,
especially
I think it's time for us to not be nice about it and just to be honest about.
That's it, honesty. You can't.
And I think when I've been in football 12 years, and I've had many girls who I've mentored who tell me that I got into because of you, Ali, and then I feel like I've done. By not being honest about it, I'm doing them a disservice because they've probably got their own stories. They go, "Oh, Ali doesn't say anything, so I won't." Cause
I think. Do you
get what I mean?
This is like.
You know what? I'm going to say we're about to be something great.
It is.
Anyone that's it's about to grab.
Honestly,
you know what it is?
Like
this
you
is like
need a voice.
This is like music to my ears.
You know what? It's a part of me that doesn't want to tell you because it's in one way it's not difficult. It's more annoying because those things that I've said to you, I've personally put in place to prevent this happening. It still happens. Yeah. Well. Basically, it's relatively it's to do with social media for this situation. So unfortunately, about probably a season and a half ago now, cutting out the curtailing seasons. I had one night before a game, I had a DM come through from he was a coach in the same league as me, but from a different team. And it's a picture of his private parts, let's say. And then immediately, unprovoked in my DM, and then immediately afterwards, there was a message come back saying, "I'm really sorry, that was an accident."
It was an accident?
So I put on, and naively, I went, "Oh, don't worry, mate, I'll delete it. Have a lovely evening."
Wait, so has he ever messaged you before that?
No, before this. So that
there's no way.
And I pressed the button. I thought, "Oh, he's manager in my league. You know what? This is embarrassing. I'm going to delete it, and it's no harm, no foul."
That's what I'm saying. You thought it was just meant to send it to someone else.
Yeah, and it happens, isn't it? Like I thought in my little head, maybe, yeah. And I thought, okay, cool. So I forgot about it. I even made a bit of a joke about it. My manager, "Oh, it happened to me last night. Isn't that weird?" You know, and then so I even laughed it off, but it kind of sat a little bit in my mind of that was uncomfortable. And now I've seen his stuff. It's a bit weird. And then about 6 months later, I was again, and you know what? I was annoyed because I'd sat up late before a game because a gentleman was coming around to get some tape for one of his players. So he said, "Ali, I need some tape for my player." I went, "You know what, mate? Come round. I'll give you some of my tape. Don't worry about it." Yeah. So I sat up late before a game. I wouldn't normally do it. He come round, ran out to his car, gave him the tape. And as I put the game tape back in, but my phone buzzed. "Oh, it's Twitter. It's a message." But okay. I'll look at it because I'm walking, and I opened it. It was the same gentleman. I say gentleman, saying, "Which one of your players are you shagging?"
What?
And I went, you know what? I thought, my blood rose. I went, okay. And my brain went, "You know what, Ali? Ignore him. He's a numpty." And then within about the next 6 minutes, message. So you're not denying it, then, are you? Ha 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 ha. And then I went, you know what? I went, I'm going to fire back. I thought, you know what? I went to him, ha, I haven't heard that one before. And he replied back again, oh, so you're still not denying it then? And this is a man who's a coach.
What? Hold on.
It gets worse. It gets worse. So I said to him, okay, mate, I'm sure you've got better things to do on a Friday night than try and wind me up. Let's just leave this here. And he went, oh, calm down, love. It's only a joke. Which then puts the emphasis of that situation that he's led up to on me. So I said to him, it's a bit like when you sent me that picture before. Like, clearly it's not a joke. And then I blocked him. But you know what? I sat up till 1 a.m. that morning before a game, livid, because I thought, and you sit there thinking, have I carried myself in that way that he thinks I'm banging my players? Are my players saying about me? My manager think that about me? What if he and then the what ifs come in? What if Tony leaves in 2 weeks and this guy takes over? What do I do then?
Have you seen this guy since?
No. And essentially, I can still see this picture in my mind. It's really it's so innocuous. And a part of you goes, it's not that bad, Ali, because nothing happened. Like he didn't do anything to you. But then. So then the next morning, I rang up, what mum was saying this, I'm sure, Bradley Pritchard from Cray. I said to him, Brad, I'm really upset about this. Can I talk to you about it? Because he works with the FA. He's a friend and a player, to be honest. And he went absolutely nuts. He was like, you know what, I'm going to contact the FA about this. And to be fair to him, he wrote a big thing to them. And the reply that come back that he forwarded to me was, basically, I'm going to surmise a response. It's for my biggest regret in football, not replying back myself and just leaving it. I should have done in hindsight. What I said was, it's private because it's in her messages. No one else has seen this.
So
but that was the response from the Kent FA.
What should you have done? Snapped it and put it all over socials?
And that's what I said was you know what? I didn't. You know what? I was so upset about it. I just didn't look at it. I thought, you know what? I'm not even going to bother going
Can I ask you something based on your experience?
Yeah.
At that moment, did you ever think this job ain't worth it?
You know what? I was saying to this point, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's just
go
for
back
me.
to hospitals. Did you think that?
But I don't get that in a hospital. Like no one, and you know what? And you get little micro events in football for physios. You get flashed at games. People shout stuff at you. People rub up against you and walk past you. You know, little micro things, and they build up at the end. And like, you know what it is? I said to you, I work really hard to carry myself in a certain way and be professional and to respect my players. And then to have that happen to a guy who eventually could be my manager one day.
Do you know what?
Do you get what I mean? I won't say his name because I think it's unfair to follow social media and all that.
Everything you said has made me angry. I've literally said it. Like, for one, regardless, like the first thing you brushed off, and I think you're a bigger person for doing that. Maybe you could have taken it further at that point anyway, regardless if it was a mistake or not. But you're a big person who said, you know,
I wish I had in hindsight. And
Yeah.
hindsight's a people think. But then I even tried to get on Twitter, try and get the message back, and I can't get it back.
But then afterwards, to message you that, regardless, do you know, I'm speaking to you, I know you're not involved with players, but even if you was, who are you to ask you?
The thing is that, firstly, it's bold, by the way, for you to come out and say that.
100%, yes.
Because one thing that I've always thought, is I think this happens to a lot of us, and none of us have said nothing.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
And the reason why, we feel. The ones that it's happened to, we feel embarrassed that we haven't said anything. Now the thing is that, sorry to cut you, is that I think that the reason why we don't come out and say anything is because of that little self-blame that you have, I know, like, I've had a similar experience, and I've never wanted to quit coaching until that point. And I'm also not not to like disregard other women, but I'm not that crybaby kind of female.
Exactly.
So I'm quite thick-skinned, similar to you. Basically, there's not really a lot that can upset me. Now, when I've had a similar experience to you, that was the only time in my coaching career. I think I was in my house for about 3 days, just crying because you just feel like you go through this stage where you blame yourself. Did I do this? Did I do that? Then you start thinking about his livelihood, and you start thinking like, I don't want to ruin his career. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And you shouldn't think like that.
This is the thing. He works in a school.
And you think stuff
and
like that.
My brain went, if I report him, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, And apart from that, maybe he was drunk, maybe he just and you
So here we go.
and you make excuses for them, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think? And there'll be people that will disagree with me.
Yeah.
Like what you've just said, and there is because what you've just said and what you both just said, like bold for you to comment, and I appreciate you saying it. But why do you like? It's the what ifs, as you said. But why are you considering the other person?
The reason why that is because at the end of the day, you can't shy away from the fact that the world is cruel, So you come out, and at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you leave a club for whatever reason, and then you start talking shit about the club, You look like a troublemaker. Yeah. You look like she was that girl that left that club, and now she just talks rubbish, and now you don't want to. Now another club won't hire you. Basically,
exactly that. I mean, it's
and look at this. Sorry to cut you. Look at the Sarah thing, Look at what's just happened with Sarah. She's done all of this stuff to try and prevent, but you've still got people saying why she got her headphones in. So in that situation, I know in my situation, some man is going to turn around and say, well, maybe you shouldn't have said have a lovely evening, or maybe you shouldn't have said this, or maybe you shouldn't have said that. No one's going to think the message was unprovoked. Because really and truly, if you turn around and drop that picture on social media, that guy's probably got a wife, girlfriend, whatever.
And that's what you think of. You think that I'm about to ruin someone life over a picture.
Life.
And what you think in your head is like, I'm going to speak very candidly now.
Yeah.
And it's the sexual sort of argument, isn't it? And you know what? There's grades of it. And you think, what's happened to me is not on the spectrum of
what may have happened to other women.
Something really bad, or being grabbed or being brushed up against. But I've had that as well. Players I've been with.
Some players as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I've had one bad experience with a player, and he just made me feel really uncomfortable from the moment I was in there. And it was very overt. I'll be honest, it was a wind up. He was doing it to everybody in the team. But if everybody's pressure points, I'm quite a positive, happy, get on with it, brush it off my shoulder kind of person. And then a couple of things happened. I was like, you know what? I feel uncomfortable, so I got Male Physio in to help him. And then he made him feel uncomfortable. And I was this guy's a prick.
I think it's one of these ones where, like, as a female. I think that men can often, not men, I think that people can often abuse that, the fact that you're the positive, joyful, not going to say anything kind of woman. Do you know what I mean? Because you will get women that will just report you straight away. Do you know what I mean? Or just, they're not playing that card, basically.
I always think about my career progression is that I don't want that attached to me.
I've had that same feeling.
I don't want to have that.
You have this label, that's like, but put it this way, you're now no longer the physio, or I'm now no longer the coach, I'm that girl that got sexual assaulted at that club that time.
No,
now what you want to do just goes out the window.
No, it's more than that. For me, what it is that, let's say, like, I'll go, okay, I want to go into the Nationals, and Dulwich got a position. And I go, I might go for that because I'm ready, I'm there. And then you find out he knows a manager at Dulwich. So he goes to me, like, she reported me for a bit of banter on the phone.
Yeah.
She's touchy, don't touch her.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what? It's like the slag thing, isn't it? A little bit
innuendo. Yep, 100%.
But you see what I mean? It's like I said about a little bit of Ali's a slag. It's the shit sticks.
Exactly, because do you know what it's like? It's like, you've hit the nail on the head there with that shit stick stuff, Imagine if, like, there was a random rumour, God forbid, there was a random rumour that, like, you tried it on with some 16-year-old girl and it wasn't true. Shit sticks.
That's one of the biggest fears of me coaching young females. I'll be honest, because I've heard some stories before, and that does it. Makes me brick it. Like, I'm very, very careful about the way I approach all situations.
But I'll be honest with you, since that text happened, if you're up a manager, you'll be like, Ali's been a bit off since then. Like, she's not been performing like she would normally. She's not been putting her heart.
Like, do you know what?
Sorry to cut you.
Go on.
Did you change your perception of the way you dressed and everything? Because we was talking about that. Was that before or after?
I remember, ever since then, I've checked the other manager on the team, which isn't him, just in case.
And if it was, what would you do?
I told manager and said I don't feel comfortable around him.
Okay.
Well, I did tell somebody at the club a long time after it happened that I was upset about it. He went, if you're ever there, Ali, let me know. I'll go and chin him. Which I think I probably would.
I love Maloney football.
I'd probably enjoy it,
Yeah.
You know, and I'd probably pay his fine for him. But
cheers, mate.
Yeah, there you go.
100%.
Honestly, mate. But I think it's just the thing that I think I try and hold my mum's raised me right. I'll put it that way, right? And my mum and dad come to games, by the way, as well. And I like to think that I carry myself in a way that I will be automatically respected for what I do. And to think that somebody can tear that down with one message. It terrifies
you feel
me.
like you've worked so hard for where you've come, and then now all anybody's gonna know you for is for that.
Do you know what? I've never been somebody who wants to protect my Twitter. I'm quite open on my Twitter. I answer messages. I try and be friendly with people. I try to like be encouraging towards anyone who comes into my DMs. Normally, that's not again not an invitation, guys.
Does that play on your mind now? What next message could be?
But now I generally sit there thinking like, oh, it buzzes, and you're like, oh, I don't know what this picture, like, and do you know what it is? It's more just
messaging.
I generally felt like putting protection on my tweets and just being like, I want to get people off of there. I'm going to be really, but I thought, you know what? Why should I? Just because
you're letting them win.
Exactly. It's the argument. The presenter wasn't saying to I can't remember was it Morrison saying like, why don't you just delete your Twitter? You're like, why should I? It wasn't my problem.
This whole. I know it sounds so little, but it makes me so angry. I don't know why. I'm sitting here and I'm like,
and that's what.
It's not good. Why?
That got me the most because my brain thought all the stuff you've had to put up with in your whole career, Ali, all the being shouted at by fans, having all those sort of little moments. Even the guy rubbing up against me didn't upset me as much as that text did.
Do you know what I think it is?
I can't tell you exactly why.
Do you know what it is?
Because he's a coach. It's because he's a coach.
He should know better.
Could it be because?
I think he should know better.
Because what
said?
said?
He should be a dick, shouldn't he?
Could it be what he said though? Because he's put that perception. Obviously, you said who you shagging. Yeah. So automatically, as correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to speak like if it's fine. No, and I don't. But could it be that perception of you're sleeping around? That's not a perception any female wants attached to them.
No.
Yeah. No.
So could that be why it upset you so much? Actually, that's attached. And who does he know?
I think it's the authority of him though, because automatically the physiotherapist, a coach has got authority over me. It's like your manager saying something to you. You're like. My brain immediately thought of if I have to work under him one day, or he's telling and you get that thing, you check who he's following, and you've got like a couple of your people that you know following him, because non-league's a small world.
Who you speaking to, who you whispering to.
And you're like, someone told him that, or someone, and then it just, I've got self-esteem issues anyway. And it absolutely dragged me down to those lowest steps. Dragged me down to my boots for about a month. I was like, this is horrible. I don't want to have this feeling ever again.
I think the
one text, you're like, Ali, I thought you were stronger than this.
Yeah, but you're not bulletproof.
No, and that was
you're not bulletproof. And I think that as a woman in the men's footballing world, it's difficult as it is to then have. Do you know what I mean? The pictures and this and that. It's difficult as it is. So if you think about what we spoke about earlier in regards to like, it was difficult to get into your role because you were used to the bucket and sponge guy, basically. You've got a ground break just in that part already. And then on top of that, now you've got pictures in your DMs and this and all of this stuff. It's just like, because I know when it was happening to me, let's say, I had a feeling of like, the reason why I wanted to quit, let's say, is that I thought to myself, oh my gosh, does it have to be this hard? Do you know what I mean? Does anything have to be this hard? And I know, like, I was in this is something that I've never spoken about, never, ever, ever. But I had a particular scenario, basically, that happened, and I was speaking to a friend about it. So when we were speaking about it, we were in the car. Yeah, we're talking about it in the car. And I got a phone call about 10 minutes later. The person that had done it, let's say, his like best friend, I'd accidentally called him in my pocket and I didn't realise. And
he heard what you said.
And he heard everything that I'd said. So, and I remember him calling me and he said to me, did I just hear everything that I thought I'd heard? I checked my call list and he'd been on the phone for like 13 minutes. So I thought, yeah, you have. You've heard everything. Now, the best friend said to me, I can't believe what I've just heard, Sean. That's disgusting. And the first thing that I said, wrongfully, but the first thing that I said was, please don't tell him that you know, because I don't even know how I'm going to deal with this yet. Do you know what I mean? So I need to process my own emotions, basically. Now, to this day, I don't think his best friend ever told him. If he has told him, then that guy has never addressed it with me. And thinking about it, he would know how I actually feel about what he done. Now, I get the vibe that he probably doesn't know, basically, and that best friend kept that secret for me, basically. Now, really, I probably shouldn't have cared. I probably should have been like, yeah, tell him, because if it is disgusting, do you know what I mean, what he's done? But I was so worried about the backlash that you're going to get, or the stigma you're going to get, the issues that come with it. I was still in that motion of feeling upset about it. And I remember speaking to my friend, like it's a male friend that I was talking to, and he was similar to like, what are we chinning him? Like, what are we saying? Basically, like, what are we doing about this? Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to do something. So what are we going to do? And I kind of decided to do nothing. I just thought, I just want out of this environment.
Do you think more females need to do more? Do you know, as in if it happens, out?
I wish I put it on. I wish I put it on. And even now, I'm thinking like I've got that draft in my Twitter of that message on there. Me putting on, this is what I've got to put up with.
Do you think coming today and hearing like Shah's got the same thing?
It's nice to hear. I'm not.
Yeah, it sounds in the weirdest way possible.
Yeah,
no, it's like you're sort of like, oh, it happened. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
now
not
I know
just
that
me.
It's not just me.
It's not singled out.
But the thing is that I think to myself, it will almost be a little bit scary, yeah, if all of a sudden, let's say when the pod goes out, if there is an influx of women that come out and say, it happened to me, it's happened to me, it's happened to me, it's happened to me, it will almost be scary.
It will be.
Yeah.
And I think I don't put myself on a pedestal, because I'm not that person. I'm modest, and I think that a lot of people look up to me as a female physio because I've been doing it so long and I've lasted.
Yeah.
And a part of you thinks if I show them it's happened to me, I'm terrified to see what the girls I've brought into this game.
But do you know what? Do you know what? I get that.
Opening that floodgate.
I get that. You mentioned something earlier. I get that completely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, so as I was saying about, there's females behind me. If I don't show that side of the journey, I've done you a disservice. Just like you were saying, basically, is that I've shown you a rosy path that doesn't actually exist. Now, I remember because I told my parents, I told my parents a very clouded version actually of what happened, because you just don't want to tell your parents that kind of stuff. Now, I remember my mum saying to me that not like you might have to go through it, but you might have to go through this so someone else doesn't, I shouldn't have to, but it's just the way the world is. Now, the way my mum put it to me, my mum's Jamaican as well, from Caribbean heritage, and she gave me the Rosa Parks example, So she said to me that Rosa Parks probably got to the 203rd day and thought, oh, sod this, I want to walk. But she didn't, basically. Oh, sorry, I want to get on the bus, but she didn't. So she waited for the 300 and whatever day it was, basically, when she could now get on the bus, and so could every other black person. So I feel like, do we now have to go through this so that every other woman doesn't, basically? It's sad that we've had to, but at the same time, I feel like if I was to tell, and when I was going through the little moment, I was thinking to myself, similar to you, I would never encourage a woman to come and do this job if this is what they have to go through.
You know what, I did the worst thing. Even on my own, they're going to shoot me on my own podcast. I'm waiting, give me the exclusive, Ali. On your own podcast. But you know what it is? It's the thing of that first thing David asked us was, what advice would you give to a female coming into the sport? And I'm sure I said something like, get a thick skin.
Get a thick skin, that's what I think. I think someone else has asked me that, and I said the same thing.
Get a thick skin. And like, when you read between the lines of that, you think like what you're saying is, do
you feel like you're saying shut up and shut up? Do you feel like you're saying
I'm saying worse. I'm saying man up.
Man up. I thought that's exactly
what I thought. I'm saying man up.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you know what, girl? Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? I'm saying what I would think which is, if you bring this up now, you're going to get a comment on this, and it will say, just go like a women's game then. If you don't like men's football.
Yeah, that's what you'll get.
Go with the girls.
Yeah, that's what you'll get.
A part of me says, I hear you, but you wouldn't. You know what annoys me more than anything else is that I'm not going to name another physio, but I'll say I'll name one. My friend Tunde. He's a cracking physio. He's come through the ranks. He's working in ITU at the minute, so he's a hero. Yeah. He would never get that message, and I would. And a part of me can't get my head around why, as a male physio, you would never get that kind of banter. And I know you won't get different kind of banter, but you never get that message come through. And the only reason why I've done it to you, they don't know who you are, don't know who you are, where you come from, what day you're having. You know, I could be on my lowest day that day, and that message could put me over the edge. No one thinks of that situation when they send those messages. No one thinks.
I think that because you see, like when you were saying about like, oh, you know, like you're just kind of like laid back and chilled or whatever. Now, like if I send that picture to a woman, what now?
I'm going to ask you guys this. I've never had the urge to show anyone a picture of my bits.
No, I'm not really like that.
I've never really had the urge to go onto my Twitter and go, right, 10th name down. You're getting a picture.
I've never thought,
I've never had
he's
the urge.
a salt.
Yeah.
Let me send him my ass.
Let me send him a picture.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I'm not brave enough. Do you know how brave and bold you got to be?
Right.
I don't know what.
I made this joke on my own one the other day. It's never the guy you want, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
It's true.
It's
It's
never
true.
like never
But the
Anthony
thing is-
Joshua.
Oh, what? Yeah, it's true.
Never Anthony Joshua
Yeah,
or David Beckham.
100%.
It's some little weasel from mid Kent.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's Harry
it's
from Kent. Exactly saying.
But-
It's Harry from Kent.
but-
Always Medway as well.
It's-
I don't know what is
Oh.
going on down that way that you
Yeah,
have to keep
it's
doing
crazy.
To
stuff.
answer your question, no, it's bold. I don't know. It's bold.
But I think if he did, you know what
Wait,
the
are
thing
we
is.
saying to a random or just to someone?
No, to a random. I
To
never,
a
I
random,
never
yeah,
understood
yeah.
why to a random person you don't know.
Yeah.
And equally, when you're in a position where you're like working in a school, you're in a coach, you've got like it's dangerous.
Do you know,
And if your kids out there, don't do it. It's so dangerous.
Yeah, call me old
Yeah.
school.
Honestly.
Call me old school,
Don't.
but I'm more like that's private. That's for your private time, innit? Like, call me old school.
Yeah.
That's between
Do
you
you know
and
what?
someone
If
else.
you're
innit?
in a relationship, this is probably off subject now, but you can do
Yeah.
what you want, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're with that
If it's
person.
consensual,
But-
it's cool.
Yeah, but like just unprovoked. I didn't ask you for
Literally,
this.
not even like a hello and then a picture. It's just a picture.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Like I didn't. This person
No,
want me to my phone.
zero context.
Do you know what I mean? And like I was saying about like if I send this to your woman, basically, yeah, all that's gonna happen is Sean is now the home wrecker. She's not like no one's gonna see me as the victim in this. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna I just ruin someone's life. Basically, that's how it gets
And
deemed.
you know what it is? It's the thing of and it's ruining your life over a little picture. What's the harm? But the harm is, when you have a career, you build your whole career for words to pull you down.
It's a picture with intent. Let's
It
say
is,
it
of course.
how it is. It's not a picture.
No.
Just have a look.
But you know-
Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
It's a picture with intent.
100%.
That's-
Yeah, and I think
that's what
I
it
was
is.
more upset about it because I deleted it and took it on the chin the first time. Do
But you know what? I
Because
think-
I've been so like not naive, but I've been so nice to him about it. I've been like, oh, don't worry about it. I've deleted it. It's no drama. Mistakes happen. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm so angry at myself
That
for
you-
not just going to screenshot, bang it on my Twitter. Because I don't want to trial him by social media. Because I think it's morally wrong to do so. But in hindsight, I fucking wish I had.
Yeah.
I can tell by the way you just
I'm
reacted.
honestly,
You're very
no,
angry.
genuinely.
Still riles
It,
you
made,
up.
it
you're
does.
still quite
Even
angry.
now, I've still got the screenshot on my phone. I remember I was so embarrassed to send it to my player to say this is what happened. And I was so like, because it feels so small, but it felt so big to me at the same time. Because I'll be
Nothing's ever too
honest,
small.
I'm touch wood. Again, it's not an invitation to any weirdos out there.
Yeah.
I've never had it happen before.
Yeah.
And I thought that was because not how I carried myself. I thought, you know what, I've done well in this game, and then
Would it have been different if it wasn't someone in the game? Just
it would have, but because he was, you know, because you
I
almost
don't think it'd be different regardless. That's wrong.
you intrinsically trust your coaches and managers as
Yeah,
physio.
yeah.
If I was your physio, I trust you.
Yeah. But that's vice versa. You need to have trust amongst
And
the staff.
when you were sharing a touchline with the geezer, like months before, you're like,
how the hell did we get here?
How dare you invade my personal life with that nonsense?
Yeah.
Like,
I
dare
think
you?
what's crazy about some of these situations, is that like you almost think to yourself, like, what? How the hell did we get here?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And
But there you go. You just said it. How the hell did we, or how the hell did you?
Well, yeah,
But
but
he-
now
it's not
it's
me,
we.
it's
Now
not
we're
me.
both here.
He
Do you know what I
involves you
mean?
in it. He makes you a participant in it, and you never asked for that.
But that's it. So how did they get to that point?
And
then
do you know
after
what?
that, yes.
And
but
also,
how did they?
It's
get to that point?
you know what it is for me. It's maybe I'm being too forensically involved in it. It's the escalation. So I now sit here with the guilt of thinking I never did anything about this. I never emailed back the FA because I was so upset about it. What's the next physio happen to them? What about his physio that he works with?
I almost
Thankfully, I don't think he's in the game anymore, if I'm being honest. But I sit here and now think, if I had just been brave and I just put that tweet out there, I might have stopped the next thing from happening, or I might have helped my friends who are physios.
But this is
and they're meant to look after
look
these
at the
girls.
obligation that you now feel to protect another woman. Basically,
Exactly.
it's mad, and it's such
You
it's a crazy pressure to have.
It
You
is.
shouldn't be made to feel that.
No, we shouldn't be made to feel that way.
It's weird though, isn't it?
You
Yeah,
was the-
very,
you was
very.
the at that time, you was the bigger person. It was like it was probably a mistake. You meant to send it to someone you're involved with. So you laughed it off and you went, shouldn't have seen it. So I was like, go back, have a good evening. But then to have that back and next view, who you sleeping with?
I think
it wasn't even that nice. Which one of your players at Cray are you shagging? It was personal.
Yeah, name the club.
At Cray, are you shagging? It's like, and
furthermore, I mean, it sounds mad, yeah, but if you was, mind your business.
That's what I just said earlier. Why does it even matter?
I ain't shagging you, like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, I don't mind your business even if I am. I mean,
but it was that, but it was also the fact that he sent that one and I ignored it again. I'll be the big, and then it was seven, if I ever showed you it, there's like 5 messages in a row where I hadn't replied. And he put question mark. And it was the pressure of being like, if I don't reply, I'm confirming this to this geezer.
Do you know
what?
I think
like, leave me alone.
I think if you
on a front up for a game.
Honestly,
you're getting pulled into a situation you can't win anyway.
No,
you don't reply, you're confirming it.
Exactly.
You do reply, you're defending.
Do you know what I want to know as well? What made him think you was anyway?
Where did you
didn't
get that
like
from?
his picture in the first place.
I mean, it wasn't a good picture. I'm not lying to you.
It's blurry,
it wasn't even like. Honestly. There was no lighting. There was no angle.
You didn't get the right angle on it. No right angle, nothing.
Drake taught us about angles, isn't it? Like, come on.
It was so wrong. Do you know what I think? I think what's difficult.
I'm not laughing it off, but this is what we do in football, isn't it?
You have to, innit?
You have to laugh it off.
I think like you also alluded to something earlier as well about like it's like how you crack on after that.
Yeah.
So I know like in like the scenario one of that I've had, yeah.
So you briefly touched on 2 scenarios then.
I've had
I thought it was the same one you were talking about, but it's 2.
Yeah, I've had 2, 3. I can think of clearly in my mind now. Now I know with one particular scenario which kind of overlapped, but I decided also that when it was starting to happen, I was kind of brushing it off until I got to a point where I decided I'm just going to come to work and not say nothing to no one. So I'm just going to walk in, do my job and leave. Then I started to get accused of being unsociable, basically, and not wanting to speak to anyone. Now, I know that when I was in that particular situation, yeah, it was someone that wasn't involved that was making those comments. Like, oh, what's wrong with Sean? She don't come in, she don't say nothing to no one, yeah. And I was starting to bite at that little stuff. So those little things, I know that particular person, it sounds bad to say, but he's like the cleaning the boots person of the club, basically, yeah. So he just makes tea and noodles and stuff, yeah. So he kind of got the backlash in a way. Yeah. So when I found out that it was him that was like, oh, why is Sean not coming in and saying anything to anyone? I used to be like, what kind of this little tea boy? Like, do you know what I mean? Why are you talking off? But actually, it wasn't his fault. You know what I mean? He got the backlash.
You just needed to take it out on someone.
Yeah, because I wasn't brave enough to take it out on who deserved it. Do you know what I mean?
But then the problem is you think you've got like a chip on your shoulder, haven't you? A big chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Exactly that, haven't you?
So 100%.
It's the same with the races and stuff, isn't it?
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, it's
exactly the
same.
Maybe it's not our time yet, Sean.
Yeah.
Females.
Yeah.
Else to happen first.
Yeah, it's
true.
It will come. I got too many battles to fight right now. It's too many.
Let me ask both of you then, because I know you're a host as well, but we've got into it.
Yeah.
Right, let me ask both of you, and this is a difficult question to answer. It might be easy. You might find it easy. What would you say to, if this is happening to young females now, what would your message be to them?
Public it up.
Public it. Put it on socials.
100%. I will personally retweet it for you. And I will at the Kent F out.
Do you know what? I think
and I hate doing it, but you know what? The reaction I got from that Kent FA bloke, and I'm certain it meant nothing by it, just a little bit, but that thing of like, oh, it's private because in your DMs. Mine is thought, okay, next time now I'm gonna public it up.
Do you know what I think?
I'll make a noise.
Similar. I think my message would be to do what I wasn't brave enough to do.
Do you think?
Oh, you know what? Dare I say?
What I wasn't brave enough.
I will say to them as well. If it's a young physio and they're worried, please just you can get my number. It's not that hard to do in non-league. Everyone's got it. I think at this point, just give me a shout and I will 100% back you.
Do you feel like with Ken, it was a man trying to cover up another man's?
I don't think. I think it was just them thinking, what's the big problem? It was in your DM. No one has seen it.
Without trying to. How long ago was it?
You said it was 2 years ago.
A couple of years ago now.
I can't remember when did social media kind of blow up bigger. Because obviously, let's be real, most FAs are old boys clubs, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So do they even know about social media?
No, but what it was is the fact that it was like it's only between you and him. So what's the problem? No
I
one
don't
else
want it.
No,
That's
no,
the
no,
problem.
it sounds
ask for
silly.
it.
So they're just shunning it and
No,
going, well, what is the
it
problem?
sounds silly.
No, I don't need that in my life.
What he's saying is no one else has seen this.
What gets
So
on
what's
my
the
nerves
drama,
is that,
right?
do you know what,
Do
honestly,
you get what I mean?
if
So basically, that the Kent FA answer made you answer the way I've just answered you that question. Because well, it's not public, so they're
So
not
I'll
gonna
make
help
it
you. So
public.
make it public.
I'll
and
make
then
it
they'll
public,
get help.
and then we'll
now
deal with it.
in that circumstance,
Not
yeah,
like adults, we're still a bit children.
So what do you say? What do you say to the people that? So say someone outs it, puts it up. What do you say to the people that's like go against it and
if
rebuttal it and like
Yeah,
that?
do you know what,
You shouldn't be outing people's
what
business.
I was going to say, yeah, was that like you see, like, and basically answers your question, and similar to what we just spoke about with what the Kent FA said. In hindsight, I think the best response probably would have been, "Are you going to have this same response if this was your daughter?"
You know what I
Are
wanted to say
you?
to them is that my argument was at them, and again, I drafted that email, and I was in tears writing it, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to delete it. I can't send this. And what I was going to say to them is, like, what was this guy as my next manager? And then what if it escalates? What if it becomes a problem? What if it becomes that he grabs me or he...
Yeah, do we have to get there for it to be
why,
real?
Why let it get there?
What
Give him how short
there.
But equally, educate the geezer. Maybe he's just so thick.
Yeah.
I understand. That's not a
implication.
problem.
Yeah.
Not devil's advocate. It's not. But let's think like the Sarah situation that's happening now. That you could have been the first issue of that. You don't know how far that person at that time was willing to go at that time. Was it a rejection thing that they didn't like? You don't know what could have happened. Like you said, if you did work under them, would they have grabbed you? Would they have tried to put you
But do you know what, yeah?
That's how females think. So do you know what? There are some grounds, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to name the grounds, where I will wait for the players to leave before I leave because the car park's dark. And I know, and if you dodgy fans around, or you get that odd little tweet, you're like, okay, it's not bad, but I'm a bit concerned, so I'm going to make sure. I'm not going to tell the players I'm doing this, by the way. I'm going to just hang back a little bit, and just walk out behind them.
Do you know what? Silly,
or give one of them a lift so that when they're in my car with me.
As silly as it sounds from what you just said, like when I worked at another site, there's a bin shed behind my site, and it's dark as anything at 11 o'clock at night. Me personally, people used to say, "Oh, you're sexist." It wasn't. I refused to let any female that was on shift with me walk behind there by herself. So it means I either go around the bins with them or someone goes with them. But
Can I just say thank you? Because it sounds silly, but thank you for being like just thinking how you would feel if you were in that position.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's just and they always used to say. I used to get really strong-headed females go, "Why are you coming with me?" I was like, "Do you know what? I don't care if you don't want me there. I'll just walk around with you. Like you do you, and I'll just be around just to make sure nothing happens." And it wasn't far. It really wasn't. But it was the case of I know how dark it is around there, and all you need is a junkie or someone to be around.
Because of all the stuff that we have to go through to prevent or to not attract these things from happening, is that you don't understand how priceless it is when one man understands. Do you know what I mean? When one person thinks, "No, I am going to walk you to the car." Or
I'm spoiled at Cray. I'll put it out there because there's a lot of negativity about football here. But Cray spoil me. Honestly, they're amazing. And what the players will know when if I feel they can tell if I feel uncomfortable. Why don't we just hang around? So just as a fan, like, can I interview you, Ellie, whatever it might be, or can I talk to you? You just hang back a little bit, and it sounds silly, but it's just a little bit of reassurance that the situation's being watched. Nothing's going to end.
I used to do that in nightclubs when I was young as well with my friends.
That's why I have two male best friends.
Jokes.
Honestly, Bashment clubs in Catford. Honestly.
Big guy, bouncing, standing there.
Poor Kenny gets something almost fights over me.
I think even like when you spoke about the message earlier to other females, is that like there's also another side that you may get. Because I've seen this happen, not to me, but I've seen it happen to someone else, is that if you are a female that decides to make some poor decisions, basically, and you do decide you might have slept with the wrong one, you might have had the wrong choice, basically, what then happens is that you might not get direct issues, but you can often get subtle ones. So, like, I know, like, there's someone I'm thinking of now, and she's made her fair share of poor decisions, basically, So when she's rocked up to work late, she gets rinsed more than anyone else does. Or if she makes an admin mistake, let's say, she gets rinsed more than any other woman would because of the poor decision she's made. So it's like, if you do decide to out someone or you say something, that could also happen. That like then you'll get treated a certain way for a while.
But do you know what you can do? You haven't got at the person, you've got at the behaviour.
Yeah.
So
So
what
it's
you
not
do,
so
you
personal.
You know what? You can't get someone can't get you for speaking facts. As long as it's fact, and like you said before, if you stick to facts, not your thoughts or what you think should happen or what you think should have gone. If you stick to facts of what's happened,
yeah,
you can tell you something.
and a lot of it is like similar to like the racism stuff. Yeah, a lot of it is stuff that's difficult to prove. So like I've had situations where we could be in a room like this. We spoke about this before, and it would be, we're in a room like this, and there's a ball bag over there, and I go to pick up the ball bag, and someone turns around and says, "Bend over again, love." Now I can't prove that happened. Do you know what I mean? Because it was said face to face in jest. I
It's those
can't prove
micro
it.
moments, and they build up
Yeah,
in you,
they
and
build up.
they make you worried. But you know what the worst thing about the situation is with that guy? If he just said sorry, I'd drop all this.
Yeah, but you ain't gonna have the balls to do
Generally, I mean that generally is a fact. If he was to generally turn around, he knows who he is. I don't live watch this. To be honest.
Yeah.
We're not big enough.
No, just
He probably just won't.
he doesn't care about football, does he?
Same. I don't think that they'll watch this.
You won't watch
either.
this about it. I doubt he's obsessed with me or anything.
Yeah.
But I would say that if he just turned around off that message when I said, I was clearly getting upset. If he went, no, love, I'm really sorry.
Question, is that enough though? That's my honest
For
question.
me, it would have to him to just said, acknowledge his behaviour and said, I'm actually sorry I've upset you. It was a joke or whatever, but I've clearly taken this too far and I've upset you.
Is it enough? That's my
you know what? I would have taken it.
But it's a start.
Have you ever, like, with the people that you've discussed this situation with, or people that may know about what's happened?
There's not many of them. I won't lie to you.
Well, which.
Well, there will be now.
There might be. But for those that do, even if it is a handful of people, has anyone ever? Because obviously, like you said, you've got your own podcast. Has anyone ever turned around and told you not to say it on the pod?
No.
So everyone's been in support of you doing it publicly, saying it publicly.
I'll say his name again, Brad. He's been so phenomenal about it, and for him to he took it forwards, and he was incensed on my behalf, and he even warned me, like, before you read the message from the reply, like, it might upset you, just be aware.
He's quite nice.
He's one of my best mates. My mum babysits his little girl. Like, we're tight, and I would say that he was genuinely the most supportive person I've ever had in my life at that moment. And it was reassuring and happy for me to know that somebody knew about it and was aware and took it seriously.
See, I've had the opposite.
People not take it serious.
No, not being taken seriously. I've been told,
don't say
nothing on the pod. When you do podcasts, don't say nothing.
And
who's told you?
What was your reply?
If you don't want me asking, if you don't,
well, yeah, I can't say.
No. So
yeah, but someone told me not to say anything.
What was your reply to them?
I'll do what I want.
Alright, so
I'll do what I want.
I think the time's right for this sort of chat now. Do you know what? I said I'm a bit of a wait and see merchant. So the moment presents itself when it's right to have the discussion and say, actually, it's not like Me Too. It's like, actually, this is what happens in the world now.
Yeah. But I do think
we've got to speak our truth, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. And for order for you to get there, by the time I got told, don't say anything on the pod, I was, when you kind of go through the emotions, don't you? At that point, I was in like angry, don't tell me what to do stage. Do you know what I mean? So I was in the like, I don't care about the collateral damage. Do you know what I mean? I didn't care, but obviously then I had to kind of level out basically. But at that moment I was thinking, get off me, I'll do what I want. So I think that's probably why I responded like that. Whether it was the right thing to do or not, I don't know. But
what I want to say is, thank you for coming on.
That's all right.
I have nothing but admiration for Physio.
Listen.
Thank you.
I think there's so, and I can't say it enough, important to have, and not just for the physiotherapist side of things, but also the times you touched on, the psychological side of it. And if any one physio is listening to this and I think actually that's something I can add to another string I can add to my bow.
It's the biggest thing to add.
If one physio adds it, or if you get more, that's massive. That's massive.
Before we go forward, can I ask one question? How excited are you now that football's coming back?
I'm so happy. I honestly,
you must just watch the pounds just like on their way, literally.
No, it's not even just that. It's just I've just missed being around the lads, and like, do you know what? I live on my own in my flat, and when especially first lockdown, you're sitting there for 12 weeks on your own, and I work in a hospital outside of here, so you've got all that COVID stuff, and it's been bad. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to upset people, but it's been bad. We can all see it because it doesn't exist, but it does exist. And to have that much misery and upset, and have to sit there in your flat and deal with it, and not even have like I can't even put on Man United versus Man City to chill me out.
As well, didn't
I did, yeah. It was shit.
Did you?
Yeah, quite impatient.
Because you was meant to be on the COVID show the same night as me.
I had to put. I,
You really
honestly,
had to pull out.
I left it at the last minute. I said to him, I'm really sorry, I don't feel great.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's just that you have all that negativity, and football's important for people's mental health. But I think it's more like it's a nice distraction. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think also the Dons are amazing, aren't they? Let's be honest. I haven't mentioned them much today.
Well, we didn't want to mention that you was with the SE Dons. You know, they're just a little team.
Tiny little team in South London.
There was something that I wanted to say, like when we wrap up, basically. But what we actually haven't asked throughout this whole podcast is what you're actually doing now.
Well, we're getting ready for Dons to come back in. I think 4th of April.
Sunday comes in.
Yeah,
so you're. Can I even use the word physio at this point?
Physiotherapist.
Physiotherapist.
He pays for it.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you.
How educated are you guys today?
I
know this.
I feel like I've
pays for the
I'm
time.
gonna have
You
so
have no
many
idea.
sport people going, you little cat, you
Trust
can't do
me.
it.
Don't call yourself a physio. You ain't paid for that.
Yeah, so you're a physiotherapist at SE Dons.
Yes.
And you are working in a hospital.
Yes, I work in a specialist rehabilitation unit.
In a particular hospital, are you allowed to say which one you work
I
at?
work in Eltham, I'll put it that way.
Okay, cool.
And also work with Cray Wonders
I
in
do.
the first team.
Yeah, first team, and anyone else from Cray Wonders who needs to come in and get seen with me as well, pretty much. So yeah, that's kind of.
And assuming alongside all three of those things, you must have private work. I'm guessing
A little bit involved.
clients.
I don't like doing too much of it because I hate charging people. I shouldn't admit that on here really, but I try and do a little bit of a smattering of players as well, separately. I'm busy.
Yeah, you're busy.
Like dating, I don't really have time to even go on Tinder or nothing.
We appreciate you gave up your Tinder time to come
I
down.
know. We've got upset guys in South London at the minute.
Amount of swipes you could have done today. Instead, he's on the pod.
I know, on the pod,
You know?
chatting about getting flashed.
So obviously this is the last part of the pod.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say? Obviously you can shout out your podcast here and I'll put the name up.
Yeah, because I didn't even know.
Yeah, I
so
didn't
let me
either.
know.
I will say this to you, we are dying to get you on.
Get on.
All right, you can.
Look,
as you've come on here,
hook
come
ups,
on
hook
yours.
ups.
It's a
I
deal.
would say it'd be good to get like a joint together and have like a bit of a fake. Cause
Yeah, let's do it.
Honestly, Courtney and Ems will have some worse stories probably than mine. So, Courtney's been to Wembley
Should
as
we-
well.
yeah, let's
Shall we call it an exclusive and get a link up of pods?
I think we should
Or
do
we
that.
do
Yeah,
it a link
yeah,
up one
yeah.
day.
After this, we'll exchange details.
I will say that no football though, because the girl won't do it.
That's
That's
alright.
fine.
They even
That's
said to me
fine.
like,
Do
wake
you know
your
what?
ball for it.
I was going to
Do you know
ask Emily to come on here because she's just like you and lovely.
Do you know
and
what?
She's a
I will
little
say-
bit more.
I will say Emily is a firecracker.
That's
Good
it.
luck.
I love her.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
will
that's
say?
we like it. We like
When we
it.
get that link up there, I think football will be fun because it's something you lot don't do. So to get you all out,
I think you
having
could
a bit
do
of-
it,
a bit of
but
fun.
I mean, I'll be honest, you've got to warm up first though, because you didn't warm up with that
Well,
one.
you-
I could
you-
pull a hammy.
Well, that's what
She's speaking from a physiotherapist.
That's why we
That's
got
show.
you.
I'm
Yes.
outside.
Like concussions could
We've got-
happen. It'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Wait. Can I just say she did see where all the exits are and all that?
I think I could also bring in like some stuff and give you a physio challenge maybe.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be
That'd
good.
be
great.
Yeah, that
Do
would
you know
be
what? This is
Let's
it.
do that.
Let's
Yeah.
do this. We'll get a link up
I'm
there.
trained, so yeah, I'm down.
We'll
I
get.
think.
We'll get a link up
I'll
there.
basically bring in Reese and make her have a shock reaction again, and then we'll let you crack on with
Oh
it.
yeah, I shit myself.
Right.
And then
So-
you've got 4 minutes before he dies. Hurry up, guys.
Oh, no.
So what is the name of your podcast?
It is the Effing Bag podcast.
Effing
Effing
I
bad.
love
Because
that.
someone
it-
nicked Magic Sponge.
I know who the Magic Sponge is
I
as
like
well.
it. I like
Jimmy
it.
Bullard.
And they're more famous than me.
Jimmy Bullard.
I like it. I think the last thing that I wanted to say was that kind of similar to what you. Well, I wouldn't say similar actually. I'm gonna change that. It's opposite to what Carl said. Is that I don't think I had enough respect for physiotherapists. I genuinely don't, and I think what I didn't
I'm
expect.
going to say I'll see you in the car park after.
Off it out.
No, but now I do.
Let me call Kenny first.
And I
though.
think, I think now I do. I've learned so much, and honestly, I was like, admittedly, I said to Brownie after, I don't know what I'm gonna say to this girl. Like, in it, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna
We've
ask
been
her.
vibing,
Like,
mate.
yeah, and now
We
it's
might have to go
like
and get some
we might have to
kind
go
of,
to a bachelor rave in Catford.
or go like Prosecco brunch or something. I don't know.
Anything, yeah. No, honestly,
Honestly.
No, I swear to God.
I'm going brandy.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm quite old now, though, innit? So.
I'm gonna be 28.
Yeah,
so
my-
I'm far off. I'm
By the
far off.
time-
Yeah, I'm gonna be 28.
By the time this podcast, your birthday would have been, so happy
Oh,
birthday.
thank you.
Oh, happy
I
birthday.
know,
Oh yeah, happy
33 and
birthday,
all
happy
that.
birthday.
No cake, no, though, yeah?
Wait, there's croissants.
Sorry,
We did
sorry,
actually
yeah.
come
It's
in.
not a cake, though, is it?
I can put a candle in it.
Everyone.
Do you want a
I
candle?
might have to do a pimple and walk off at this point.
Hey.
But yeah, I think honestly, I'm taken aback. I've learned so much about the difference between physiotherapist, sports therapist, the stuff that you've had to do, you've had to endure, the the journeys. I'm like, I think I've just had a life-changing conversation basically, and I think
I'll
that.
also thank you to you as well for being honest, because it helps. It sounds silly. I had you on a pedestal where you wouldn't get this happening to you because you're a coach.
No way.
Does that sound
no
weird?
way, no way. Yeah.
Is there anyone else you want to shout out before we turn the camera off? Or?
Probably not. I don't
No?
know. Yeah,
No.
anything for the Dons.
Do you know what? No, again, I want to big thank you for coming on and spending your time with us today. Definitely gonna sort out a link up with you guys. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
we'll
give me the
down.
invite for the pod. I'm
There's
there.
a lot of swearing from
you
Emily.
definitely
That's
need
all right.
to-
Emily is
Yeah,
fantastic.
You definitely need to get Sean on a
I'll be
one-to-one.
on, definitely.
We'll do a pod link up. I don't think our pods really do it, so that'd be pretty
No, we'll
cool
do it.
to
We'll
be
do it.
fair.
We'll do it. We'll do
Come
it.
down, we'll do it, and I'll
Yeah.
film it, or we can do it your way on the Zoom.
No more Zooms.
So,
Hey.
we got here, so we
I
can
like
get
his
everything.
little like fire in the booth mics and all
Yeah.
that.
So what we're
Right.
saying, it's a wrap, yeah?
There's a wrap, and thank you for listening or watching to Unorthodox. And what did you say on the last one? What was it? Be Unorthodox? He's looking at me.
What are you on about?
Hey, I'm going to rewind the show.
Do you know, no, what I do want to say is thanks again, and obviously before we do wrap up, we obviously
10 seconds, go.
with myself, I'm currently doing 50 miles in March for Sands charity, for that's obviously the neonatal and everything. I hate running, so I'm doing that. So if you do want to sponsor, you can find the link in the bio. Drop it a little sponsorship there. I hate running. It's 80k. I've done 32. If you know me, I don't run. So just have a little look out for that.
Sick.
And pass the pod. Obviously it's raining, we're going to do this quickly. So, you don't know the drill today. There's going to be 4 balls, a penalty, side to side, receive in the middle, and then volley. Let's get this going.
Unorthodox. Randy failed to mention, if you hit the crossbar at any point, it's 2 points. Go!
Piss it down. I got no.
Jackets off, business time.